Welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast, everyone. I want to thank you guys for joining us again, and I want to thank all our sponsors for keeping us rolling, and our Patreon supporters. Thank you for the new guys that's been coming on and helping us grow that, which is growing this podcast. So let's start off with the Dream Rides. John Jessup, going to be seeing him while I'm up in NorCal here in another week or so. So hopefully we're going to get to have him back on the podcast as well. But in the meantime, you can always give him a follow at John Jessup on Instagram and teamdreamrides.com. And they got that online store with Flow Motorsports, Legend Suspension, Saddleman, a lot of other stuff you're going to want for your Dyna FXR, even baggers. So check him out. Also, if you're in the NorCal area, you can always go to him for full builds, dyno tuning. He sells bikes if you need to get on one. He'll keep your bike on the road and keep you looking good at it. So give him a follow, give him a holler. And don't forget that on that on the website, you can use Fast Life at checkout for 10% off anything you buy off his website. Sorry, I'm a little rusty, guys. So it's been a long weekend. Texas Hills was a blast. A lot of drinking. Threw up, actually. Yeah, straight high school move. Anyway, Big Bear Performance. Thank you guys for being a sponsor of this stuff, and can't wait to talk with him some more, as well as might have Mark on here pretty soon to try to find a best way to talk about how this suspension has been on this bike, man. It's amazing. That's really the only great word I had to describe it. I don't know the scientific terms well enough yet to really dive into how much better it is, but let me just try to tell you. So I got the front on finally. It's all dialed in. Got the rear dialed in, took it down to Texas Hills, took it down 1431, and it made it like, see, this is why I need to be better at this stuff. It really feels like it squats when you hit the corner and you give it the gas. It squats and sticks and just becomes like a bike on rails around corners, right? It really, to be honest, what it's really done is show me how much I need to improve my actual riding to keep up with the abilities of the suspension now. So I don't know. I'm working on this. I wish I had a better way to describe it. All I know is it's worth every penny. If you ask me, it makes just cruising down the road so much more nice. I will say that the braking feels a lot better, a lot more responsive. As weird as that is, but I don't know. Anyway, BigBearPerformance.com. You can see all the suspension options that he has. You can also give Kevin a call at 909-478-7788 and let him give you a more technical terms about all this great shit. I'm learning. I'm gonna be able to dial this in for you guys sooner or later once I get more knowledge on it. But for the time being, man, Kevin's there. He's a really great guy to get some information on this stuff. He's gonna take the time to talk to you, answer your questions, and help you figure out what's gonna be the best option for the type of riding that you're gonna be doing on your bike. So give him a call, 909-478-7788, and don't forget about BigBearPerformance.com. I also want to thank Mark from Texas Performance MC. Looking forward to having him back on this podcast here pretty soon. For sure this month, I'm hoping. And we're going to catch up and see what's been going on in Cedar Park, Texas. And don't forget, you can follow him at TexasPerformanceMC.com on the internet and .com for your website applications. And don't forget, he does in-house dyno tuning, performance builds, maintenance work, service work, all that shit. So give him a follow. I also want to thank Paint Huffer Metal Flake. Also, they just started releasing a offer code for you guys that want to get some flakes. Fast Life on checkout. You get 15% off, I believe. So give Paint Huffer Metal Flake a follow on Instagram. And don't forget painthuffer.com if you want to order those flakes. Couple more, guys. Couple more. I also want to thank Lindahl Brakes. I just finished installing the rotors on my bagger. Looking forward to riding it today to T-Bar Tuesday. And I don't really need to tell you about I don't need to ride it to tell you how it is. I've been running Lindahl stuff on my bikes for the last couple of years. Also the last couple of builds that we've done for customers. I'm always a fan of Paul. You can listen back to the podcast and hear more about Paul and his background. But the company's been doing a lot lately, and I'm excited to still be a part of that company as far as running their products and doing my part to show you guys how badass they can look on your bike. So give them a follow at Lindahl Brakes on Instagram, and don't forget lindahlbrakes.com And if you want to order pads, rotors, wheels, any of the stuff that they sell, you know, we have an offer code for you. Fast Life at checkout. Save yourself 10% off anything you get from Lindahl Brakes. Whew, we're getting there. So this podcast, I was fortunate to have Mark from Lexin up in New York, flew to Texas to do this podcast. It's pretty legit. It's pretty official. You know, we're going corporate on you guys. I'm just playing. We're not. It's a good time. This guy's really awesome. I'm glad I got to meet him through doing this podcast stuff. And I've been running that Lexin for a while now, and I'm a big fan of it. So, but I think that you should hear this podcast and hear him talk about it. And you know, it's going to be a great one. I also want to ask, if you guys don't mind, man, please take the time to check out our Patreon, our website, fastlifegarage.com. There's a link on the page. That way you can become a Patreon supporter and help us continue pushing this podcast to bigger audiences and more people and more episodes, more everything. It all kind of coincides with you guys checking out our sponsors and you guys supporting us on Patreon. So anyway, I'm going to shut the fuck up now and let you guys hear this awesome conversation I had with Mark from Lexin.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
Yep. You good?
Yeah.
Cool, we're rolling.
Oh, okay. Word. What's up?
Welcome to the podcast world, man. So, Mark, that's your name, right?
Yeah, that's my name.
From Lexin. Is it just Lexin and like...
It's Lexin Moto. Lexin Moto on Instagram, on Facebook, LexinMotorcycle.com, on the World Wide Web. Mm-hmm. Most of the people refer to us as Lexin.
Yeah. So it was weird because, like, you know, Albie reached out to me, apparently a mutual friend between us, and he had told me about you guys. And until then, like, I honestly had, you know, like, a Cena was the only thing I thought of whenever we were thinking of, like, headsets and shit for bikes, right?
Yep. And
the price tag, $300 something. Like, every once in a while I look at it, like, man, let me try this. I'm like, I'm not trying this for that much money. You know what I mean? And so when you guys reached out and was like, you know, check out these products, blah, 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 I was like, fuck, man, you know, $150 is such a, you know, minute amount of money to try something out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
And then now that I've ridden it, you know, like I said, I still don't have the Cena background to be able to compare to it, but, you know, it's fucking awesome, man. Like, you know, being able to listen to podcasts and ride down the road on a bike, you know,
yeah,
it helps.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, so that was our whole idea when we designed the FT4. So just to backtrack and give a little bit more of our background, we have been around for a little while, but we decided to break into the American market really heavy with the FT4. So the FT4 was designed with the rider in mind and the first time user like yourself to be able to get them into a product at a reasonable price that still did everything very well that you wanted it to do. So what are those things? So it had to be loud so you could hear it all the time, you know, no matter what speed you were at. It needed to have a good battery life that you wouldn't have to worry about dying on a long trip. It had to be very weather resistant, which ours is, and it had to have a good warranty. It had to have a company that was going to stand behind it.
Yeah.
And we believe that we've hit all those marks on the head, and all of our consumers have said the same thing, you know, that they can go out and they can ride all day. They can ride through thunderstorms, you know, they can play any music they want to, they can talk to other people on it, and they have no problems with any of it.
Yeah.
And we can do that at a price that's way under the other people in the industry.
So how big is Lexin itself? Like, is it like, you know, like a lot of people look at Simpson and they think, oh man, it's a big ass company, and then they find out, oh, it's a big company, but
it is,
the motorcycle division of it, it's only like 2 people.
Yeah, the motorcycle division of Simpson is very small. So Lexin Moto itself is an electronics company, and we make other things besides Bluetooth equipment, but that's where we're primarily focused in. So as far as how large the company is, about a 23 people operation.
Okay.
We're spread out. You know, we're primarily based out of Costa Mesa, California, and there's a couple of us on the East Coast, and we have influencers and ambassadors that, you know, also help us out, and we have other people that are working with us. But, you know, as far as like the head count goes, it's still a relatively small company, and you know, in our opinion, that's a benefit of ours, because the director of marketing, Anthony, will talk to anyone. He has no problem with it. You know, he's not too big for anyone, neither am I. And we talk to the consumer, no matter if you're a guy riding a 1982 Honda or, you know, like you're someone out there riding a $50,000 bagger. If you want to call us and talk to us about something, you have questions, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you as a rider, you've been riding bikes for quite a while, huh?
Yeah, so I've been riding. My father rode, my uncle rode. It was in our family, and so I've been riding for about 15 years. I had a Sportster. When I was a kid. I had a '79 Ironhead that was just a pile of shit.
You a chopper kid?
Yeah, and I was a chopper kid. I actually bought that bike in New York, and it was chained to a telephone pole. It was chained to a telephone pole. There was a for sale sign taped to it. I bought it for $2,200. It died going home that day.
Nice.
I was like 17 when I bought it.
So what drew you to like the Harley thing over, or have you kind of dabbled?
I've always been in the Harley. I've always been there. Father rode an old shovel and stuff like that when I was a kid. My uncle rode one all the way up until about maybe like 10 years ago or so. He got a little sick, but so that was it. I mean, I was in New York, so there was a lot of influence there with like Indian Larry, and you know, like I grew up like a lot of us with like some of the motorcycle TV shows that just started. You know, like American Chopper started when I was a kid.
All right, so you're 30, so 15 years ago was like right when the
so
or not even 15, so like 12. You were right there, fresh out of high school, right when the height of all that shit was going down, right?
Exactly, yeah. So like I remember like Jesse James's TV shows being like huge when I was a kid. I remember American Chopper getting like really big. I remember like Indian Larry. Obviously he passed away before I was riding and shit, but I remember all those dudes in my general area. And sport bikes never really appealed to me. So
yeah,
I stayed with the Harley world. I like the Harley influence. I like the community of it, you know, and so stuck with them.
And you did military, so you were in the military. I mean, you were kind of talking about, so that's how you kind of got drugged to Texas, or were you kind of stationed in different places?
Yeah, stationed in a bunch of different places. When I was in Texas, I met our mutual friend Albie, and we were just two guys. I think we met through Facebook, just through one of the mutual groups. We just wanted to go out there and meet people. Yeah. And he lived pretty far away, but we'd ride all the time. I would ride from like the Fort Hood area down to San Antonio for barbecue and shit, and do it in one day and just ride back and forth, you know, like just for food, and go to hang out with Albert. And I went to Giddy Up with him, I think the second year of Giddy Up, went to the pre-party with him and stuff, and did the Three Sisters and all the cool Texas stuff like around that area. I rode the hill country all the time. It was amazing. So, and that's really what the community is about, right? It's about meeting different people. I mean, that's where most of my best friends come from, is like dudes that I met either through like social media avenues, or just met them at, you know, a show or a ride or something, and just stayed with them and just hang out and ride with them. And that's really the best way.
Yeah, you definitely can meet a lot of people through social media, and that's something we've always promoted through this thing. I mean, shit, like I've slept on dudes' couches. Yeah, that never met them in person, just through Instagram. Or I've had people do the same thing with me. Like, you know, I try to keep my couch open for people that are, you know, cool and not coming off serial killer-ish. But
I mean, that's the way to do it. You know, like I met a good buddy of mine who lives in New York.
There was one dude that was mad because you were doing this podcast. You had to cancel a ride.
Oh, damn. Yeah. So that's my buddy Mike. He actually ended up coming out to me anyway. But yeah, so we were planning on doing a Tail of the Dragon trip.
Nice.
And he was going to come from Pittsburgh, and my buddy was going to come from New York, and we were going to ride down. And then like last minute, dates had to get pushed around. I had to do something with my son, and then everything just happened to like fall into this weekend. I'm actually I'll fly home tonight, and then I have to fly out the next day to North Carolina. It's just wild. But so we didn't end up going on Tail of the Dragon. He told me that he'd comment on there.
Yeah.
And I was kind of
lost. I was kind of lost for a minute. I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, and then he told me the story. I was like, "Oh, okay, I get the."
Yeah, but listen, he came out.
He said, "Podcast ruins rides." I was like, "What are you talking about?"
What are you talking about? No, it definitely doesn't. If anything, it makes riding way better. Yeah. No, so we were supposed to go out there. We didn't get to, but that's okay. He still went out. He did a bunch of cool shit. Yeah. He went out and did fucking real biker shit, as we call it.
What's some cool things to do in New York though? Like, I mean, I asked Rob that the other time we had him on the podcast, but I don't know. Like, what's your opinion? Like, what do you like to do when you get on the bike around New York?
So I've ridden lots of different parts of the country. Yeah. And I think New York's like highlighted offer is riding in the city. Some people will say like stay away from it. I'm a little crazy on my bike, so I'm not worried about like going into the city and like fighting with traffic and stuff like that. You do need to be aggressive, but there's nothing like being on like Fifth Avenue in New York City, like buildings 30 stories above you on both sides, you know, like riding through that and having that scene that's like such an iconic picture that you see all the time, you know, like those long pictures of like the street shots and like and seeing all the buildings and the sun and stuff like that. I think that's really cool. So anytime I go into New York, I have no problem with ever going into the city. Now I have friends on Long Island, so I pass the city sometimes, but I enjoy riding in the city.
That is something, you just said something that really made me remember. Like there are times, man, like when you talk about an amazing feeling riding, you know, a lot of people just completely associate that with like being on some kind of crazy like coastal or mountains or badass twisties, but dude, sometimes riding through a fucking cornfield and the sun's going down just the right time and the air temperature's right, it's like, fuck, dude, I feel like I'm in Top Gun or something. You know what I mean? Like, so the same thing, like when you're, because even though downtown Dallas is like a fucking, you know, pin drop compared to New York City, even going through there, like driving down the street, you know, because it's kind of east and west is kind of how the streets are kind of set up. I mean, they're grids, but the main ones go east and west. So you're going and you're seeing the sun go down and the fucking buildings are there and the lights are starting to come on in the buildings. It's like, fuck,
there's
man,
that aha moment. I mean, you can get it anywhere. Like I've got it. I've ridden around the Grand Canyon. I've ridden in Arizona and I've ridden Cali and stuff like that. And I've had those moments everywhere. But New York City is that city moment for me. You know, like I've ridden in Chicago. I've ridden in Nashville and Houston and Austin, all those places. New York City's, dude. It's unimaginable until you're there. So.
How's that, like, do you live on like the Long Island area? Or
so shout out to the crazy gentleman, Rob. I'm like, I grew up like maybe like 15 minutes from where he's from. So I grew up in a little town called Massapequa. And it was a good place to live. It was weird being a kid there though. I mean, it was very much so like the stereotypical New York. It was like Italian and Jewish people and like that was it. You know, like we had pizzerias and Chinese food and like Jewish delis, and that was it. So, and I mean that's good and bad, but it would it made for an interesting childhood. You know, until like I got out and realized like there was tons of other pieces of like American culture that didn't exist in my tiny little town.
It's kind of crazy that, you know, you would think that too from such an area that's so culturally diverse in a sense. I mean, the same thing I say about a lot of people that never leave these small towns in Texas, you know, that they grow up here, they marry some chick they talk to in high school, they buy a house in the same county or the same city that they grew up in.
That sounds terrible.
It does sound, I mean,
well,
to me it sounds
everyone.
terrible, but for them it's like a dream, you know.
For a lot of people it is a dream. I wouldn't want to do that. It's just me, though.
But it is weird, man. Like, you know, coming from a city that you would think that too, that like it's very small. Like there's such a bigger world when you're in one of the biggest places in the world, you know.
Yeah, it's true. Well, you meet people from New York and nobody ever leaves there. Most people don't leave there. And then if they do, like, ask them where they go to vacation. They go to like the Poconos in Florida, like Atlantic City. That's it, like guaranteed. I talk to people all the time about that. But I think like as far as like the motorcycle community goes with like people in that area, those are the people that are like the minorities in that culture. You know, like we in the motorcycle community that are from that area aren't the people that just stay there forever. You know, like we're the people that will travel out, they'll venture out and stuff like that. People live and die like in New York. Never even think twice about it, you know, like, and you know, they do get stuck in that mindset that like they're in the center of everything, so why leave?
I think that's probably how a lot of LA is as well. I mean, they kind of have everything they need right there within a 100-mile radius. Beach, mountains, you know, culture out the fucking ass, you know.
Yeah, I mean? This is true. So this is really true.
But I mean, y'all kind of have that too. I mean, you got the Appalachians there, so a little bit more inland.
And we have the Catskills there as well. Long Island offers a whole bunch of different types of riding out there, which is really cool. Yeah, I mean, you have like on the South Shore, you have Ocean Parkway, and that'll run like a large portion of the island. So you can start like in the city and jump on Ocean Parkway and take it all the way like along like the South Shore and ride along the Atlantic. And
is that where like Coney Island and shit is off of that, or is that?
Yeah, it's down in that area. That would be like on the city side.
Okay. So when I was a kid, I played basketball.
Yeah.
And Coney Island was like thought of as like this badass place for basketball players. Like, you know, New York always had that fucking vibe of like they had the best street ball kind of things.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of N1 and things like that kind of originated from that culture.
Yeah.
And, you know, so as a kid, like we were talking about earlier, New York has so many different aspects about it that was like appealing to me as a kid, you know, from like the basketball days to the you know, just music, culture, and then when I was into skateboarding for 10 years, like a lot of skateboard culture there too and shit like that. So
yeah, it was cool. There's definitely been a lot of big things that came out of New York. Coney Island's interesting. It's not like it used to be, but it's definitely an interesting place when you get up to New York. It's not if, when. Eventually, you're gonna have to go.
Yeah,
up there.
I'll be up there for sure.
There's a lot of cool shit to see, and Coney Island's definitely one of them.
For real, yeah. Nice. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. Like I was telling you, man, definitely got a lot of friends now in the New York area, or just Boston, New York, all around the area. Yeah. But it's something I don't want to just half-ass. Like I want to soak it all in. I want to make sure that I plan accordingly, and I don't want to get to New York City or Long Island or any of this stuff and only have a day. You know what I mean? And that's what happens a lot of times when you go on these big trips.
It's true. Yeah, you spend all your time on the road. You get a day, maybe a day and a half in one spot.
How long do you think you need to just really soak in, as a motorcyclist, the New York fucking vibe? Like, if you were going to ride there and then, stop, how many days do you spend there in that vicinity? Do you think?
I would give it 2 days to get, like, the New York specific things. Because, I mean, you can ride coast all over the place, right? New York coast is great, but it's a coastline, So, like, I would definitely say you need to spend some time in the city doing city things.
Yeah.
You need to ride around the city a little bit. You need to ride Brooklyn a little bit. You need to ride, like, Lower Manhattan.
Where's the, like, parts you don't go to still?
Oh, there's all over. There's shitty parts all over everywhere, yeah. Alphabet City is somewhere you shouldn't go to.
I feel like all the ones that used to be in the New York rap scene, that's like, I feel like all that shit now is, like, gentrified and, like, fun areas.
There used to be, like, much more, like, defined areas that were bad to be in, but like you said, a lot of them are getting cleaned up. Like Alphabet City was like a no-fly zone, like when I was a kid. I think it's better now. Like Hell's Kitchen used to be like that too.
Well, see, I want to go to Hell's Kitchen because of the Daredevil fucking series.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have to now, and see things like that, like make it a little bit more like tourist friendly. So.
See, I'm a big comic book fan. Like, I love all the TV shows. I did the comics when I was a kid. Like, that's what got me in the drawing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that kind of, and now that my son, is 8, like, we've shared like this last 10 years of Marvel.
Yeah.
Like,
that's amazing.
He's 9 now. So he grew up on,
on all of it,
loving all that shit. And I take him to see all the movies and stuff. So
that really is.
It's something I enjoy as, like, part of my childhood, but also that. But a lot of that shit's based out of New York. A lot of those TV shows, a lot of the movies.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of it's filmed up there and stuff like that. All those fancy New York City scenes that they use and stuff. Yeah, it is. It's cool. And like that's definitely an aspect in New York as far as like motorcycle stuff. 2 days, but there's so much to see up there. I mean, you can spend a week up there and not see everything that they have to offer. It just depends what you want to see. But motorcycle stuff, go ride the city. Go ride Brooklyn. Ride down some sidewalks, get in some sketchy places. That's what we always end up doing there. Ride some of the bridges. It'll cost you a lot because there's a lot of tolls up there, but it'll be fun. Yeah, and then ride some of, like White Plains or Long Island. White Plains, you can go up north, like, get over the bridge and get into upstate New York, or like the downstate portion, and you can ride some of that, like more country area, or you can go to Long Island. There's vineyards out there, and there's all this fishing, like towns and stuff like that, and all sorts of cool stuff, and just little stuff. The island actually forks at the end of it, so you have like a North Fork and a South Fork, and that's where like the Hamptons are and all the fancy places. But there's awesome riding out there. Yeah, there really is. That's so cool. I mean, you do riding in the city and then either upstate or the island.
You ever rode up to, is it Cape Cod, Massachusetts?
Yeah.
Is it something cool there? Like,
I mean, it's cool. Cape Cod is, I don't know if I'd really say it's like a motorcycle scene, but I mean, it's cool. Like, there's all sorts of different cool parts in like the New England area, that you can ride to. Like even Connecticut, like Connecticut's cool. So
I'm a big history buff too. So like the farthest,
there's a lot there.
Yeah, the farthest northeast I've ever really been is like Bristol, Tennessee. But
it's not even northeast.
Exactly.
Anymore.
So even whenever I've done a lot of work in North Carolina, Charlotte, around there. Even being there, it's like, fuck, man, like wars took place over here. Yeah. You know what I mean? I guess you could say that same thing for like going to San Antonio because of like that.
Yeah.
But the fucking Alamo's not the same as the American Revolution.
Now the Alamo's really impressive. I saw it a couple years ago. It's super cool. Yeah. But you're right. It's not the Civil War trail. It's not things like that.
So also like when I went through the Smoky Mountains, like they have the Trail of Tears areas. Like I rode on some of that. Like that's just pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I mean, it's not cool what happened to him, but it's pretty cool.
No, I don't think anyone thinks it's cool what happened to him. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool to go experience.
Yeah.
It's cool to go see those areas. And yeah, there's a lot of that in the New England area, and it's definitely something worth checking out. I enjoy that stuff too.
Yeah.
So I've been.
Don't they have something called the Freedom Trail, like in New England, like in Boston, where it was like Paul Revere's like ride through the town to wake people up and shit?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. You're going to have to get someone from Boston on here. I don't know anything about Boston, especially being in New York.
The good thing is, like, I've always said this, every time we get somebody on from, like, except for you and Rob, honestly, but, like, when I've had, like, all my other friends from New York or up in that East, they say yo so much that, like, for 3 days after I do the podcast, I'm like, yo, dude. So it's like a slang thing from up there.
Well, like, I guess a little more background on me. Like, I lived in New York. I grew up in New York, but I only lived there about half my life.
Yeah.
So, I spent a lot of time in Texas, kid in the military and stuff. I lived in Arizona. I lived all over the place. So I have lost a lot of the accent. I'll go hang out with my friends from New York and get talking with them, or I'll get a little drunk and I'll start sounding like I'm from New York.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, no, I'm not talking about Tim's or saying dead ass or anything like that. So definitely not from, like, that part of New York by any means.
So you graduated from that Sportster. What'd you go into next?
I went straight to the Dyna. I rode that Sportster. I thought I was gonna ride for the rest of my life. It took so long to get a Dyna. No, I rode that Sportster, and truth be told, I really didn't have a problem with it. I still have it. It's an 08 Nightster. It's just simple. It's got, like, a set of Z bars on it, a Thunderheader on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think a Power Commander 3 on it, whatever was popular in 08. I just racked up some miles. I did some powder coat on it. It's got lace wheels, so I did, like, black and red lace wheels, and I built a sissy bar for it, like, out of square stock, and twisted it and stuff. And it's cool. I mean, I just racked it up.
A little Indian Larry vibe going on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like that.
They used to do those twisted down tubes all the time on those bikes.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, they did that
a
a
New
lot.
York flavor.
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, I did build it in New York, too, so I guess that makes sense. I didn't even think about that. But, yeah, it makes sense. I did it in New York.
So what kind of, like, pushed you towards the Dyna culture? Was it just like an upgrade from that bike, or what?
It was always the next, like, sensible move. It was always, like, what I planned on doing next.
Yeah.
A couple of my friends had gotten them and stuff like that, but I mean, like, early on, I did not just jump into the Dyna culture with everyone else. But I enjoy the platform. I got buddies that are, like, diehard FXR friends or FXR people, and they make fun of me all the time for it. And I'll tell him to listen to this. He'll know who he is. And I love FXRs too. I've got a bunch of buddies that have them and speak really highly of them, and just understanding, like, the geometry of them and how well they work. They're great bikes too. But I'm one of those people, just personally, that like, my definition of a biker, and this is something you guys talk about all the time, like, mine is like someone riding at, like, all the opportunities that they possibly can. It's not necessarily like, what they ride or how they ride or where they're riding to, just riding all the time. If you live 10 miles from your work and you commute every day on your bike, like, that's what I consider, like, being a biker, like, riding all the time. And that's what I wanted to do. So I wanted to get something that I could put my own touches on and work on and stuff like that. But I wanted something that I could just turnkey and just get on and go. Yeah. Like, going back to that Ironhead, I bought that fucking Ironhead and it broke down, like, every week on me. Like, everything always broke. I packed it up for a trip to go to Vermont, and I started it up, and I was smoking a cigarette, and I went to sit on it, and I pulled the clutch in, and the clutch cable snapped. And so I called the cab. This was June. I called the cab. It took me to my local Harley dealer, and I bought the Sportster that I have now still. Nice. I just brought all my shit with me, took it all off. I went there. They had one of those first-time buyer plans, and I bought my Sportster. And then I just loaded up, and I did my break-in miles all the way to Vermont, and that was it, Nice. And that's what I enjoy. I enjoy knowing that, like, I can go. And there is a part of that, like, love affair of, like, having a bike, like, oh, is this gonna break on me, or like, am I gonna make it, or that feeling of accomplishment when you have an older bike. Yeah. But I get in my opinion, I get an equal sense of accomplishment just going out and just being able to smash miles. Yeah, and, and being on the road.
That is one of those things, and, like, a lot of people don't need to, like, feel like because you're doing it on a fuel injected push start kind of bike that it's less of an achievement, because, like, you just said, and what I totally believe in is just doing any kind of riding like that, and going places, and just anything but, like, the weekend warrior fucking bar hopper guys. Like,
no, it's not cool to, like, to wax it all day Saturday morning and then ride it around for 2 hours on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I feel like I have a hard time being friends with those guys, not because of who they are as a person, but because of the dependability aspect. Like, I want to be friends with people that know that I ride bikes all the time. Exactly. So I want to be friends with someone who makes riding bikes a priority in their life, as opposed to like, oh, fuck, man, it's football season. Yeah. Yep. This guy's off the table now. Like, no, I'm just not going to, we're cool, but I'm not going to invest my attention into you because I know that you're a seasonal rider. Yeah. You're seasonally interested in this stuff. You know what I mean?
You're right. And like, circling back around, I'm 100% there with you. Like I have my buddy that rode from Pittsburgh, like I messaged him a few weeks before and I was like, hey, let's do this. And he's like, done. He took his vacation leave, like his like summer vacation that he got from his work. And he said, I'm going to do motorcycle shit with my friends. Yeah. And like, that was it. And then even I had to back out last second on him, which I felt terrible about, but he still came over to my place and we still rode, and did a whole bunch of cool shit just local in my area. Yeah. And then he just got back on the road and kept doing real biker shit.
That's cool. That's what it's about, man. Yeah. And like hopefully, through podcasts, people hearing stories like this, or just getting like people even hearing about what you're saying about New York. It's like that might be something that a lot of people want to try, but like for me, fuck, man, New York, like where do you stop and it's okay?
Where does it feel? Yeah,
where do you go?
Daunting.
Like, so it's really, and there's so many different boroughs and cities and neighborhoods. It's like, fuck, where do you even try? So
yeah, there is a lot. And I'm telling everyone right now that's listening to it, you can do it. It's not as bad as people think it is. It's bad. There's traffic, but I mean, if you've ever ridden through a metro city, it's metro city traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's gonna be hot. It'll be hotter because buildings are taller and the asphalt and all the cars squished in there. But you can do it. You should go out and do it.
That's cool.
Get on your motorcycles.
So when you ended up, how long you been with Lexin?
Just about a year now.
Nice.
Just about a year now. And
did what's some more info about Lexin, like as a company? Like what's kind of their direction? Like I feel like y'all been pushing way more into the V-twin world. Obviously y'all do a lot of stuff with the sport bike stuff too as well, but it seems like a good push for the V-twin crowd to, and I got my thoughts on what makes this stuff ideal for us now, but what are some of your ideas on just...
Well, so as far as a company, we're a company that builds Bluetooth audio equipment and other electronics as well. We have been primarily, heavy on the V-twin scene because of my background and the director's background. Like we're both Harley guys. So we know Harley people, and we know what works in the Harley world. We know what like the riders want, and we know who to talk to get like good, valuable information on that. However, even with that being said, we do still do a lot of things with the sport bike community and the ADV community. We're doing things with as well. We've done things with like snowmobile racers as well. So we've been all over the place.
Pretty much anything that a helmet's required.
Anything that you can wear a helmet with. Yeah. And maybe some things not, but anything with a helmet, definitely. We love seeing people like out of the norm, because like you said, we do a lot of V-twin stuff, and so obviously like street bikes will follow because they're always wearing helmets as well, but like mountain bike dudes, they're wearing a full face helmet, like the serious mountain bike guys, like, and we love hearing those guys using that type of stuff because that's cool. I mean, you think about it, if you're riding with a buddy anywhere, if you're riding down a dirt trail on a dirt bike or on a mountain bike, it's helpful to be able to communicate with them. So it's awesome. It makes us feel good when we see other people using it in ways that we don't always reach out for.
It seems like, we were kind of talking about this, but it felt like Cena had like cornered the market for quite a while, you know what I mean? And then like I said, it's been kind of in the background of my peripheral, if that's the way you would describe that. It's like I've known of these companies like Cena and whatnot, and then you'd see these other ones kind of pop up. It's like I really don't know where I'm getting at with that, but I just, like I said, when you guys came on the map, like I had thought about doing Cena's. I think I might have already said this. I thought about doing one, but everybody was like, well, if you get this, then you buy like some of these JBL speakers and you throw it in there, then you can hear it real good. Or people are buying like Beats headphones, like all these different contraptions on top of an expensive unit to begin with. And then like, I was thinking like, man, it'd be cool if me and my wife took a trip and, I maybe get 2 Cenas. And I'm like, fuck, that's $400 or $500.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
money.
Like,
that's a lot of money. Yeah. As a consumer, I don't ever understand why I would have to buy something brand new and like immediately alter it. You were saying, like people at JBL and like Beats by Dre and stuff like that. Cena's a great company, and they build a good product, and we're not Cena. We build a different product.
Yeah.
Cena builds products with all sorts of good things in there. We wanted to design a product, like we said before, that, that would be cost effective, that would work well and give you exactly what you needed, at a price you could afford. And like you said, you were thinking about having like a dual pack for you and your wife so you guys can talk on trips. And then you said, that's a lot of money. And that's what most people say. And then they just stray away from it, And so we came into the market to be that other option, for those people that want to get into it for the first time, and they're not sure how much they're going to use it. Some people come to us and say like, well, am I really going to want to use this every day? Like I like hearing my bike. I don't want to take phone calls. I don't need to listen to music all the time. And then I ask people, do you get into your car and turn your radio on? Like, yeah, you get into your car every time and turn your radio on, right? Like that's what people do. Listen to a podcast. Fast Life podcast. You listen to music or whatever, like eventually you'll get so used to having it as an option. So I guess in essence, we wanted to be that, that friendly option for the consumer. Yeah. We wanted to be something that was at a reasonable price that, you would feel confident, and a company that was backing their product. We offer a 2-year unlimited warranty on all of our stuff, and that's our model. We want 100% customer satisfaction. If you contact us at any time and there's something wrong, we take care of it. Yeah. It's just that simple.
You guys got us those sets and we took them to the camp out with us. And what I liked about it is, like I said, I really didn't get a chance to really connect with the other ones yet. But what I liked about it is that my wife was driving the truck, right? And she was like, she was driving the truck. She wasn't following us, but she was headed to the campground too. So she ended up calling me for something, and it was like I was able to take that phone call and work that out instead of having to wait to the next stop or stopping the bike in general. Yeah. And the same thing, like I was like, that one worked out so well that I went ahead and called my brother who was here working. Yeah. At the time, I was like, hey man, make sure you run by the paint store and pick up this because they're going to be closed all weekend. Do this. And I was like, fuck, man, like that for someone like me that has a business.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, I still had the ability to like conduct business and orchestrate things going forward. So same thing. Like I was always thinking, I was like, man, like I have a tendency when I ride, like I usually am the leader of the ride, right? So I have a tendency to get real tunnel vision going down the road, and I don't really pay attention to what. So basically, everybody could buy me could just all wreck and die, right?
Let's hope not.
Yeah, knock on wood. And like I wouldn't even pay it. I wouldn't know. So I've had times where people like would fall off the pack and I wouldn't see them, Yeah. And so like, bam, they could make a phone. Hey man, I had to pull over to get gas, or hey, this happened, or hey, that happened.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's a lot different. You could take that phone call instead of seeing that shit happen. So actually, like I'm starting, as I'm using it, I'm starting to find so many different ways that it's been helpful in my everyday riding.
And you can take that one step further. So you think about like someone contacts you to tell you like, hey, I broke down, I had to pull over on the side of the road, right? Mm-hmm. So if that happens and you're just smashing interstate miles just trying to get to a location, right? Mm-hmm. Like that person had to pull over because they were broken down on the side of an interstate. The speed limit's 65, 70, 75. Yeah. If you're like in the Southwest, it could be 85. There's some roads out there that are like racetracks. And now having that unit, you don't have to take off the thing that protects you the most. You can leave your helmet on to make that phone call. Yeah. So you can keep yourself more safe on the side of the road, So there's so many benefits to it. And like you said, the more you use it, the more you realize that there's just endless possibilities on how you can use it and, and how beneficial it can be for you.
I mean, the music thing's good. Like, I guess because when I was in the big wheel bagger thing, I had, $9,000 stereo, all this crazy shit. And
Monster stereos.
It was cool, but I was never really a dude that would like blast it in the parking lots and coming into places unless I was drunk. If I was drunk, I was complete big wheel bagger Jay.
Showboating it.
But, which I should have been riding anyway. But, like, I don't, that shit's so obnoxious now. Like the guys that have the big stereos and they pull in and out of parking lots. It's like, it's really obnoxious. And it's to the point now where more people seem to dislike it than like it, right?
I would say so, yeah.
And you know, there are people, man, I hear them all the time, like they would ask me like, hey man, so what do you do to listen to music on the bike? I'm like, I don't listen to anything.
Yeah.
Like I'm so used to going on trips and just having that silence or whatever.
Yeah.
But like on the last trip we took to the Talamina Parkway for the camp out, like there were times I would listen to the music for a while, but
Yeah.
dude, when you're on a fucking 8, 9, 100-mile trip,
Yeah.
I don't have I have a lot of music. I don't have that much music I care to hear right now.
Yeah, it's true.
So it was helpful being able to plug into a podcast.
Yeah.
Which kind of brought up a different point in my mind when I was riding that I had never experienced before. So like usually you're right, like I felt like the podcast was kind of distracting me more than the music would.
Yeah.
So I was only able to listen to like a couple things that, just me personally, like I was getting distracted by it, but like I said, it was still cool to be able to hear it because I'm different. Like some people have to listen to music, some people don't. Some people just have to have whatever they do. Like I know guys that have forever wore headphones riding bikes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
They just can't ride. It's almost like some people can't do certain things without that vice with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. You say people can't drink without smoke and stuff like that. And I don't know, I don't eat Mexican food without queso, but I always listen to music.
Yeah.
Like I'll get into my own head. I don't like silence on the road anymore.
See, that's the thing. It's like I feel like I get into my own head and I figure shit out. I think.
No, see, I go the opposite. Like I go down like super dark holes and like I'm just gone forever.
You get off depressed.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't handle that. So I do like music. I do like podcasts. I'm with you though. There is a certain amount of focus you have to dedicate to listening to a podcast. So I may not listen to it as intently when I'm on the road.
Yeah.
But even still, I like listening to it sometimes over music.
Yeah.
Because I don't always need that.
Yeah, so what I ended up
jolt of
finding
energy.
as far as podcasts is that I would listen to somebody that I listen to for comedic purposes.
Yep. Yeah.
So that way it's not too engaging in my mind.
Yep.
If you're listening to some Joe Rogan, like,
God.
Neil deGrasse Tyson shit going on, like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm wrecking.
Yeah, exactly. It's way too much focus required for those things.
So yeah, there was a good point of that. So, but I guess one of the selling factors that you told me about was that I would be able to listen to a podcast while with the Lexin, which was different because I even tried to do that with headphones and had a hard time.
Yeah, it's hard.
And
like the thing with headphones, anyone that's ever used them before can attest to this, and I'm sure you can. You put your earbuds in, pull your helmet over like real gently, and then you start riding, and then the cord gets caught in the wind, and you turn your head to look over your shoulder, and now one pulls out, and you're only 10 miles into a 100-mile leg, and you're not pulling over the group so you can adjust your headphone.
Yeah.
And that's a pain in the ass.
It is.
And that's annoying, and then you have to deal with that for 90 miles.
Well, also not having those fucking things in your ears, it kind of starts to hurt your ear after a while. You know what I mean?
Does.
So, but yeah, there was that. There's, I don't know. Like I said, I'm becoming a person that really sees the benefit in it. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
I like it. I dig it now.
It's cool, and I used headphones for a lot of years, and I had all those problems like we just talked about, and then using this headset now is just, it really feels like I've just gotten to like a different level of like riding in that aspect, like being able to listen to things, being able to like listen to directions. I mean, we all remember like when MapQuest was fucking around, right? And so you'd print out directions, and what do? You taped it to your tank, or you like put it in your pocket, and you remember like 2 legs, and then you pull over, look at it. And then you miss your turn, and so you have to look back at your directions and turn around. Or maps came out on our phones. Well, we still didn't have like great headsets. We didn't have great cell phone mounts and stuff like that. So you had it in your pocket with your earbuds ran up, and you'd be listening to music or whatever, and then all of a sudden they would tell you to turn in 0.2 miles, and you didn't hear anything it said. So this kind of alleviates all that and almost like adds like a different layer of like safety, because now you're not worried about those things. You're not messing around with things. You have the controls on the side of your helmet, and you can do everything you need to with it. You get yourself a decent cell phone mount, and then you can have your phone up there and you can see it. You don't have to mess around with that. So in my opinion, it makes things more enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, it's like, so basically after I rode with a couple, like you already addressed a couple of the questions I had, because I have multiple helmets, right? And I wasn't really looking to completely disassemble one out of like all the RAN wires for the speakers and the microphone. I was kind of not looking forward to taking one out to put in another one to go ride with it. Yeah. So, you addressed this question I had earlier, is that, you sell additionally like more mounts. That way you're just transferring the unit itself from one helmet to the next, which I thought was and you know, other brands don't do that. They don't offer that, right?
Yeah, it's something that, you know, as riders ourselves, we knew were going to be really important. So like I own 2 helmets. So we sell accessory packs. We sell a mounting kit, which is the actual mount that clips to the side of your helmet, and then an audio accessory kit, and that's the speakers and the microphone. And so the idea is you buy one complete single pack for yourself. And then if you buy another helmet down the road, well, you don't want to pull that old stuff out. And you're not getting rid of that old helmet. You just bought another one, so now you have 2. But you want to be able to use it, so you shouldn't have to buy a whole nother unit.
Yeah.
And we're not going to force your hand, as a business to do that. We don't want you to do that, because the product's good. We want you to keep using the product. We don't want you to feel like we're stonewalling you to doing that. So we build those accessory packs. So you buy those packs, the mounting accessory pack and the audio accessory pack, and you can have the whole unit set up for a second helmet. And all you have to do is pull the actual head unit off.
Yeah.
On and off. So that's one clip and one plug. That's it. And you're good to go. So, and price point wise, that makes it a lot easier, to convince yourself.
Still comes in less than
a
Sena.
Yeah. Way less. Yeah, exactly. You can buy a single pack in our accessory packs, and it's still under the average price of our competitors' units. Yeah. So that's a big selling point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought that was really, because I kind of asked you in a way like, hey, man, you guys should do this. Like, funny you should ask.
We already do that. Yeah.
I forgot I was asking you something else about it. I kind of forgot. We just rode to Harley together.
Yeah, exactly.
We were kind of talking about all kinds of shit.
Of things.
But, yeah, man.
Should have recorded then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of, all in all, there is a immense amount of like positive reasons why you should be using something like this, safety reasons and stuff like that. And there's a lot of things that we have coming out in the future for us as well. So later in this year, we're going to be releasing.
Oh, I remember what it is before you get to that. A lot of people ask me about it connecting with other brands. And I thought that I was like, man, like that would be smart if brands allowed that to do it. But some people, one of my friends was like, I feel like companies would want you to stick within their brand to do it, but it makes more sense because you said that they do allow that.
Yeah. So all the manufacturers, like the Bluetooth equipment, are compatible with each other. So, Cardo is compatible with Sena, and Lexin is compatible with Sena, Cardo, Uclear, any of them. None of them lock each other out. So in our instructions, like in any of the packs, you can see that there's a universal pairing section in there. So, and that'll pair with any of the other ones on the market. So that is really nice. It wouldn't be advantageous for any of us to lock each other out. And so, we stayed with that same mentality on it, because we don't want you to feel like you have to buy a Sena if 2 of the guys you ride with have Senas. You know, we don't want anyone that has a Sena to feel like they have to come over and buy a Lexin because 2 of their buddies they ride with have Lexins. That's not our model of business. We're not pressuring you into doing that.
You're not taking the Apple direction.
Well, I'm not going to call them out for that. Apple's a big company. They come over here and break our phones and stuff. So no, I'm not going that route.
Phones don't work good anymore.
Yeah, all of a sudden our phones turn off. They're all black. They won't work. But yeah, so I mean, we want you to buy the product because it's a good product, and and you've heard good things about it, and it's affordable, and and all those are reasons. We don't want you to feel pressured at all.
Yeah.
So
you said later on this year, is it around AIM Expo you are planning on releasing?
Yeah. So AIM Expo will have a whole bunch of stuff going out, and if you're not in the know about AIM Expo, you should be. There's going to be a whole bunch of cool stuff going on there. It's going on the end of September. It's in Columbus, Ohio. But we're going to have 2 product releases for it. We're going to have the FT4 Pro, which is going to be an upgraded model of what we have out right now. It's going to have a little bit bigger speakers. It's going to have a better battery, better amplifier in there. One of the big things that's going to have in there is a utility light. So in the front of it, it's going to have a single LED with a 1 push button on the bottom of it. And so the idea came from our director, and he was in the military as well. And in the military, they have these clamp-on flashlights that go into the side of your helmet. So at night, you can turn those on. You can still work with both your hands.
Yeah.
And one day, he was coming home to his place, and his front porch light burnt out. And so he was trying to get his key and his door, and he still had his helmet on. And he's like, "This is ridiculous. We should just have a flashlight up here like the Fireflies." And then he was like, "Oh man, why don't we do that?" And so we started doing that. So the light will be brighter than any cell phone light that's out there. It'll run for hours and hours. and it's just an added safety feature. So if you do break down, you're on the side of the road.
Yeah.
You can just hit that light, look around. If you drop something, whatever the case may be, and you can keep your helmet on and keep your hands free at the same time.
Nice.
You know, instead of waving your cell phone around like all of us do, you know, using the light on the back of it, you can have both your hands free now. So it is pretty cool. And then our big product will be the GT8. And the GT8 is going to have all the fancy bells and whistles. One of the biggest things that I want to tell you guys about is our distress beacon on it. So the idea is if you go down, you're by yourself and your cell phone's mounted on your bike, or it's in your pocket and it breaks, or it flies off and you can't get a hold of it. The idea is you can hit a combination of buttons on this unit, and it will contact emergency services. And I'll tell them where you are. And then on top of that, it'll have an LED light in there as well. And that LED light will strobe SOS signal for hours and hours and hours, long enough that it'll get you through an entire night of darkness. So if you're on the side of the road, and you broke your leg and your bike's on the other side of the street, nobody sees you and you're in a ditch, worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
You can hit those buttons, they'll know where to come find you, and you'll have like the brightest LED strobe that you could possibly have blinking off the side of your head.
That's pretty cool.
So, you know, it's a good safety feature, and, you know, like, again, like, those are the type of things that we want to bring. It's got features that no one else has out right now and no one's going to have out. And you can see all these new products that are going to be displayed at AIM Expo.
So you had mentioned like the GT4...
GT8.
No, the FT4 Pro is going to have a longer battery life. But what I've noticed with the current model is that, you know, I had mentioned to you that I had rode back and forth to work for 2 days, and then I rode from here to Talamina and Mina and all this, so like 400 or 500 mile weekend on the bike using it, and then rode to San Antonio all in the same charge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and you said it's basically what it's 10 hours of...
Yeah, so it's 10 hours of continuous music play. So continuous meaning like actually 10 hours of continuous music play, not like on and off, like straight, like going the whole time. And then 8 hours of continuous talk, which would actually be like, you know, the communicator on talking to another rider, and then like almost a 10-day standby time on it. So it's going to get even better from that. We want it to be able to last a few days, like on a multi-day trip for you, you know, because maybe you're going out camping and you don't have, you know, a bunch of resources to charge with, you know, like we want it to be able to last, you know, a couple days for you. Me personally, like, I'll use it. That's what it
did. Yeah. I mean, on our camping trip, I didn't have to plug it in to charge.
Well, more.
Yeah.
We want more.
Yeah.
We actually also upgraded the charging system on it. We're going to go to a Type C. So Type C fast charger. So a lot of the like Android phones are using them and stuff like that. And
Apples.
those charge, and Apples.
Not the phones, but all the computers.
Yeah, definitely not the phones. They
Type-Cs.
wouldn't do that. That would be too easy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we're moving to that, and that's going to speed up your charging process even more. So if you stop somewhere for lunch, you know, on your trip, and you need to charge your unit, you can charge it in, you know, around the time that it's going to take you to sit down at like a restaurant and have a meal, hour and a half.
That's pretty cool.
You know, so that's a good feature for it as well, and that'll be in both of them.
Yeah, I just thought it was cool. I mean, when we go to Cali, you know, on this trip, it's going to be about 10 hours of riding each day for the long day, which the first day is going to be about 750.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're good, probably 12 hours into it.
Yeah, so we'll be riding for about 12 hours, but I know for a fact I can't listen to music that long.
No.
You know, but the other guys...
podcast, though.
I could, you know, but like that's the thing about podcast. You know, I talked about this a long time ago. It was like, when I sold my last Dyna, my blue one, my buddy in NorCal bought it, right? Yeah. So I had to drop off a paint set I did for a guy up there. I had to pick up 2 bikes to paint, and I was taking my bike up there. So I did a turn and burn in the truck, right? I just threw the bike in the trailer, drove it up there, dropped off the bike, dropped off the paint work for this guy, picked up 2 paint jobs, was coming home with like 20 grand worth of cash in my pocket, right? But... So I did that, and I listened to like Dan Carlin's Hardcore History the entire time on World War I. Like, it's like a 6-part series, and each one's 6 hours. Yeah. And that's all I listened to there and back. But I know that I couldn't listen to that kind of information.
Yeah, not that heavy on a bike. Yeah, absolutely not. But
I think some people could, like they could do it. But
yeah, I mean, I can listen to them.
How you had mentioned, like, I haven't looked into this at all, but like setting it up to do like the vlogging thing. Is that possible through this?
Yeah, so you can. We know of a couple people that are doing it.
Yeah.
And it is possible, so you can record with it and use like the microphone that's built into it and stuff, and you can hook it up to like the camera, so it'll pull the audio into the video and stuff. So that is a possibility, and it's something that's becoming really popular, like with this latest generation of riders. You know, like a lot of people are doing the vlogging, which, you know, like we've talked about and we both have our opinions on. I mean, I think it'll always be there. It'll always be present.
Yeah. It's a new form of social media.
Yeah, it absolutely is, you know, and like a lot of people are making a really big thing, and a lot of them do really good things, you know. They do a lot of good things for the community, and they're helping people get more comfortable with the idea of like just going out and meeting people, you know, and finding people in the community. And that's important. And we will always be behind people doing things that'll help like breathe life into the community. Yeah. You know, like I'll never speak ill of anything like that. You know, like it may not be for me. Like I'm not a huge vlogger. I don't watch a lot of them personally, but I think it's cool, and I do watch a couple of them. Yeah. But as long as it's getting people to ride, I'm done with it.
It's definitely good.
Yeah, that's a cool thing.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like if you kind of like think about some of the different things that we do now as second nature, like using Instagram, and how a lot of us are creating our own brands off of Instagram, even just individuals, like you said, influencers, stuff like that. It's like this only grows. This only becomes exponential in the future. So where does a vlogger, a moto vlogger, evolve into? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of interesting in a way. Like where are all these different roles that are being played by different types of bike guys going to roll into? You know, it's already kind of, I wouldn't say it's hard to navigate, but for businesses, it gets kind of complicated to navigate because everybody is trying to be a vlogger or an influencer or something of that matter. So it becomes...
that is true.
It's kind of... I like to associate it to this. It's kind of like trying to find a good video on YouTube, right? There is a ton... Like, you type in anything, you know, there is so much shit out there that's bad production or not very educated or not very educational or not very... on the point. A lot of it's clickbait shit, right? You know, and that's kind of what I feel like is happening with a lot of people that are trying to go that route. They're focused on building, like putting something out there instead of putting out something quality.
It's true.
You know,
quality over quantity, right? You know, and
because all it takes, I mean, think about it. Like for a video to be financially good, all it needs is clicks. Yeah. And if you put the title in there, that's going to get people to click on it. You know, like especially when like anything that the motor company or Indian does that's big news, all you got to do is put some kind of headline, because everybody is looking for something, information on it. So they go on YouTube and you just see more clicks on these things, right? So like I did a podcast with FXR Mike, and we talked about the new bikes that Harley was releasing back when they first revealed this shit. Yeah. And my YouTube's a joke, right? Like not that many people on there, but that video had a lot of clicks or views based on the topic.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I actually listened to that one off YouTube. I love listening to FXR Mike talk. He's a riot. Yeah, it's true. You know, there's that perpetuating motion that like once it gets higher than all the other ones, when you type in those keywords, that people just automatically go to it because they assume it's the best, you know, because that number is higher.
What I like to associate that with is like, it's kind of like those guys that would like charge a shit ton of money for someone to do a paint job. Like they'll just overcharge. Yeah. Because they're only concerned about getting that customer. They're not concerned about making it a lifelong customer, right? So if you're putting out shitty quality videos or just shitty videos in general, and you're using clickbait as a way to get people to listen to it, then all you're doing is creating more disconnect between your audience and your brand, as opposed to like, hey, why don't you just wait and put out one good thing every once in a while, or don't do it at all. Don't ruin your brand before you start it. You know what I mean?
True. I'd rather see someone put out 3 pieces over the course of a year, you know, maybe one every 4 months, than once a month and they're all subpar.
Or like even doing once a week. Like when I think about the moto vlog thing, and of course it's still a little uneducated. I've only started recently paying attention to a lot of people, but like how much content, like that's why I feel like some, not to talk any shit or anything, but like Connor just did a how to load your bike in the back of the truck thing. Like, is that video worthy? Like,
well, I mean, I guess we'll find out. We'll see how many likes and
I love you, Connor, but it was just kind of like, I was like, come on,
well, man. I mean, I guess just to play devil's advocate in Connor's defense, you think about how many videos we see on social media all the time of dudes like wrecking their bikes trying to load them.
Yeah, so you kind of hope that he fucks up, right?
No, that's not where I was going with that, Connor. No, so maybe he's doing that and like he's actually going to save some dudes from like not securing securing their bike the right way. I don't know. I guess I just kind of grew up with that background. Like I knew how to use ratchet straps. I can't tell you how many people I've met that like I handed them a ratchet strap, tie something down, they just looked at me sideways. Like, dude, it's just a strap, man.
I like watching people ratchet strap from the triple trees down. And they just completely compress their forks and fuck them up.
Yeah, and you're like, nah, dude,
come on, dude, do this right
either. Yeah, that's.
But yeah, they're like I said though, it just seems like when you try to push out so many videos, and then it seems like a lot of people can't really, a lot of us ain't making a living off podcasts or YouTube or anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the truth.
So it becomes a part of like you have to subsidize your actual income to cover the cost of a lot of the things you're doing to create content for your channels.
Yeah.
So, like some moto vloggers, they can't afford to take these long cross-country trips all the time. It's got to be something very planned out.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a big production shoot instead of just a trip.
Exactly. And then is it fun anymore?
One can argue.
Yeah,
I think anybody will have fun doing anything on motorcycles, but it does. I kind of mentioned this when I took the trip to Cali. Is like I bought this badass GoPro, all these mounts. I was like, fuck, I had all these ideas, all these shots in my mind.
Yeah.
And everywhere I was supposed to pull over to do it, I just kept going. I was like, man, like this sunset looks way too cool to stop. Or
yeah, it's true.
I kind of want to get to the next spot. You know what I mean? Like it just changes the mentality of it. But
it's true. Yeah. I mean, like I'll admit, like I feed into like stopping to get some of the pictures too. But then, like you said, like I have plans on doing things, and I just don't because I'm enjoying the moment, and it's not that important to me. So to bring that to a point where like I have to do it to create content and stuff like that, I think would ruin it a little bit for me, just me personally.
Yeah.
Like I was out with my son a couple days ago, and we were at an amusement park, and they had some water rides there. So we went on a water ride in the morning. So I locked my cell phone up in like one of the storage bins. I didn't touch it all day, and it was nice.
Yeah.
Like it was nice. I didn't have it for like 10 hours.
You know what you kind of like brought some to my attention. What I worry about, because my son's 8, right?
Yeah.
And pretty much all kids are like locked into YouTube watching other kids play with toys and all this shit. The other thing that they're doing, and this hasn't been an issue in my household yet, but it's it does worry me. It's like kids' perceptions of what parents are. Yeah. Because all these parents that are doing this over the top, goofy, gabba gabba acting kind of fucking mentality with these kids.
Don't get me started.
So
this podcast will go sideways real quick.
Yeah, I feel like my son's gonna be like, dude, like I thought a dad was like the ones on YouTube, not like you where you're drinking beer all the time and telling me to be quiet.
I hope my son doesn't hit me with that.
Yeah.
I'll be real upset if he says that to me one day. It's hard. Yeah, I mean, we can go back into the societal norms. Like we're now through like social media, it's building these expectations for people to live up to. And so
it's almost like the YouTube is doing it at a fucking infantile stage. To where it's setting them up to then go into like the social media standards in their teens of like, oh, well, I expected my dad to be this way and it's not, so I'm already depressed because of that now. Jesus. And now I'm, not as hot as these people on this. And now it's like this, I'm worried. I don't want to have any more kids ever. Like, hopefully these two make it out okay. And then,
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will, man. Yeah, it's scary. It's scary as a parent to think about those things and like and how it's going to influence it, because we didn't have that growing up.
No, we didn't.
Like we didn't have anything. And like my son's been watching YouTube since he was, I don't know, 2.5, 3.
Yeah.
Like granted, he doesn't sit there and watch all day. He's definitely not a slave to it by any means. But I mean, maybe 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day.
The cool thing about what YouTube has done for my son is it's inspired him to want to do his own videos.
That's cool.
Right.
That's
and
very
so
cool.
that we bought him last Christmas. We bought him a tripod. I bought him a nicer iPad that could handle all the video editing and shit like that. He's just a little bit too young for the video editing. But if you use like if you go on like iMovie, they have those templates like a trailer and movie.
Yeah.
Dude, he'll play his video game and he'll record all this shit and he'll show me. I'm like, damn, dude.
That's
like
badass.
You want to do a video for me at the shop?
That's awesome. Yeah, there are definitely pros to it. Like my son goes on there and he watches like a lot of these like arts and crafts ones and stuff like that. Cool. And he got really into it. And I think if you ever go inside like any of the home improvement stores like Home Depot or Lowe's, they have like these like little kids like wooden kits and stuff like that, and they can build like birdhouses and stuff like that. I think we've built like 30 of those.
That's pretty
We
cool.
built like every single one that they offer around us.
I think that would give like a kid like a great sense of accomplishment.
Yeah,
you know,
I would say
creating.
so.
I can't build a birdhouse. I might go pick one up.
Hey, go buy one.
Just
right?
make sure I can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool, and he's good with it. You know, he's always been out there doing stuff with me.
I think it kind of translates to, you know, that same sense of accomplishment is why like I've always had such a love for doing bikes, because you have a vision and you get to see it come through.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why like doing videos is something I really want to get into, but my vision and my ability aren't even close yet.
That's true, and it'll get there. And see, you know, like we're going back to the fact that it's quality over quantity, right? Like you could be pumping it out right now, but would it be worth it?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And
unfortunately,
that's important.
like I kind of envy my other people in the industry that have like close friends that do videos. Like that's what they want to do is videos.
Yeah.
All my friends just drink beer with me.
Well, those aren't bad friends either.
They're not bad friends, but I wish they had talents that I could use.
Damn, they got to get on that video game apparently.
But yeah, dude, there's some badass like videographers that, especially from like the Dyna scene, like Chase Isn't Cool from like San Jose area.
Yeah.
I met that dude on the side of the highway on the way to Born Free on the 101.
That's awesome.
And started following him, and like he does some very cinematic-esque videos.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he's done it lately, but man, when I first met him and a couple of videos I saw after that, I was like, dude, like this shit's legit. But he's not really doing like a moto vlog style. He's just making a cool video of them doing some stunts.
Yeah.
And shit around town. You know what I mean? Which I need friends like that around here, man. It's hard. Like I don't really have a desire to be in front of the camera. You know what I mean?
No.
And I kind of had hoped that my brother would like get inspired by this and maybe start trying to create his own brand within what we've created with the Fast Life Garage.
No.
But you know, he's so into the music stuff. It's kind of like got his attention now. So, but I would rather him be in front of the camera. Just like I was initially, this podcast was for him to do the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, like it was something I could bankroll and then he could do it.
Yeah.
And it'd be another part of the business. Like, go
and
make me some money podcasting.
Yeah, exactly. And he can, you know, like focus on that, and you can keep painting, and you know, world keep going around. Well, you know, everyone has their own niches and stuff.
One of my buddies from San Antonio called me a control freak, and he's right. It's a control over the way I'm perceived, or the way my business is perceived.
Well, and that's fair. I mean, I think everyone wants to make sure that their brand is well represented.
Yeah, like you don't want to just, you know, just have a lot of people doing shit for you, and it's just like you're just putting out whatever. You know what I mean? Same thing, I guess, with you guys when you know find the people that you want to represent the brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, you use influencers and stuff like that too. It's like you want to put your name behind somebody that has integrity.
Exactly.
Not just another person whoring out a product.
Exactly.
Pouring out content.
And there's a lot of people that'll do that. There's a lot of people that just they want a free product, they'll review it, and that's that, you know, like, and they may not even be honest with it, you know, just because they want to keep those people that gave them the free stuff happy, you know.
Yeah,
like,
and that's
wrong too, and that's a bad aspect of this industry, you know, because a lot of people in the industry now are using influencers and brand ambassadors, and I think it's a very positive thing, but you need to have honest people doing those things. You know, and we tell everyone before we let them come on board, like, look, we'll give you this, you review it, you know, come and contact us and tell us what you think about it, you know, and we want to talk to you about it beforehand, and not necessarily to say like, don't talk about this, don't talk about that, but
maybe you can answer some questions that they might have had that were going to be a negative review. That
and like questions you had, you know, like you asked me right off the bat, like, can we pair this with other ones, you know, like, what about having it on multiple different helmets? So I have to buy a whole nother kit, you know, like those are the type of questions that we need to answer before the people go out, just to keep things clear and concise with everyone. And that's important, and that's where it's a responsibility of those people that want to be brand ambassadors and influencers. They need to do the right thing. They don't need to just be doing it for the quick gratification of getting something for free or 2 minutes of fame or whatever it is.
I've noticed that a lot of people that would do that stuff, and they'd get like free exhaust systems or free products that are more mechanical based, and then they'll try to do a YouTube video where they're installing it, and they fucking have some busted ass Craftsman tools, which doesn't make you a mechanic or not, but it's like, come on, dude, like you're probably gonna have a hard time installing this because you're not a mechanic, or you're not as mechanically inclined.
Exactly.
And so which might also, devil's advocate, might also be the reason why, you know, it associates to the consumer, you know? So it's kind of it can
go either way. I mean,
I had to stop myself in the tracks there.
No, you had a very good point with it. It's almost hard to take someone seriously on those aspects if, you know, like you said, like they're trying to review like a $1,500 exhaust system, a really high-end exhaust system, and all of a sudden they're doing it in their driveway underneath a piece of cardboard.
Yeah,
and stuff
they got
like
a car
that.
jack.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, dude. Not saying that dude's doing anything wrong. Not saying he's not, installing it correctly or anything like that, and not saying that people wouldn't necessarily like that, but it does at first glance like give that perception that maybe there's less validity in that person.
Well, see, another thing that me and Mark from Texas Performance talked about a lot, and we've been talking about this since day one because we had this influencer conversation all the time. It's like when I see certain companies that are motorcycle parts related, right?
Yeah.
They would give their products to all these people that would technically be a consumer.
Yeah.
But then you have these shops across the country that technically push their shit, that actually is selling their products and installing them and being brand ambassadors as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like the shops would not get love because they're a shop.
And that's not right either.
Yeah.
That's not right either.
So to my thing, and I've said this to anybody I talk to, it's like if you want your product ran and pushed to the test, suspension wise, motor wise, give it to Mark. He'll let you know if it's good or not.
Yeah.
And the big thing about that was like, he's having to sit here and buy an exhaust system, and he has a following of people, especially on the podcast. Like he has a lot of people who really trust his opinion.
Yep.
But now this dude has to go buy shit. But then, hey, let's give it to Joe Blow down the street because he asked for it and he has 500 followers and he's going to influence for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's hard. That's definitely, I agree with you. It shouldn't be like that.
It becomes hard for brands like the company, like yours and stuff, to have I think what it is like, you look at some of these motorcycle companies, right? Some of them are old. Some of them are the Arlen Nesses. I don't know who they have that's very young and connected to this tech world that we live in now.
Yeah, that's true.
And so do they have the person that can sift through the people to give the right people the right products to get their product out there? Because there's really no magazines anymore to put the products in.
No, absolutely not.
So you rely on the influencers, the fucking shows that you go to, and then your own social media, which the influencers help fucking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's crucial. And then, like you said, like these older companies, are they reaching the people they need to reach?
Yeah.
Like are they getting their products out there? Maybe yes, maybe no.
A good analogy was like Legend Suspension, right?
Yeah.
Heard about them. You've seen them on so many people's bikes. They did an amazing job marketing their brand to this culture of performance Harley Davidson riding, right?
Yeah.
So many people, it's one of the first things when it comes to suspension, people are thinking about Legends, right?
Yep.
You know who didn't? I guess we got some gangster shit going outside.
That's cool. Real gangsters. I like it.
Hell
That's
yeah.
cool. Is this like every day?
No. Just when we're doing podcasts.
Just during podcasts? All right, that makes sense.
So, what was I saying? Like, fuck. Gangster's Paradise fucked me up. Or
The Legend Suspension and like all the marketing they did.
So the marketing they did was great, and they were pumping out the stunt riders and individual rider influencers and shit like that. And then, people started seeing Olin's, right?
Yeah.
But Olin's didn't do that marketing wise.
They did not, no.
And they still haven't.
Yeah, and think about how long Olin's has been around.
Yeah.
Olin's been around forever, and Legends wasn't like a specific motorcycle company for a long time.
Well,
right?
they were more of an air ride company.
Yeah.
And they kind of did the research to build, to my knowledge, a quality product. I've only ran their shocks once, but I wasn't riding a bike in a way that would give me the ability to, give an opinion about it, right?
Yeah.
But so you see this Olin stuff and you don't hear about it much. You don't see it on many people's bikes. It's just like, it's this product that costs money and is kind of off in the distance, right?
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden, like you hear it on a podcast, oh, I can buy Olin's for what I buy for Legends.
Yeah, exactly.
You start hearing it more and more. And then from what Kevin from Big Bear is telling me, it's like even Olin's themselves, like, where's this increase of sales coming from? And I'm not saying it's coming from the podcast.
No.
But just, I think it's an increase in sales and people getting to know about the product. So they could use some social media influencer marketing for themselves to help get their brand in more people's eyes and become a viable player in the performance suspension game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you think about how fast Legends came around.
Quick.
Like overnight, it almost seems like. Like in
all
a matter
of a sudden
18 months, like they were Olin's competitor.
Yeah, all of a sudden, like Sturgis, they do the big thing that their facility out there because it's right there in Sturgis. They got all these people doing stunt rides, jumping fucking hills and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
wilding out with those things.
They did it right. They had somebody there that helped them connect the gap between the older guys that probably aren't as don't give as much fuck about this stuff as like the 40 and younger generation, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, those people that really, you know, that like in our subculture of motorcycles right now, like suspension is a huge thing.
Yeah.
You know, like it really
and
is.
it's only going to get bigger because performance motorcycles are kind of, you know, becoming a more staple in things. Like, you know, I was telling you earlier, Rusty from D&D was over here yesterday, and we were talking, and he brought up a lot of things because that dude rides. Yeah. Like, that's one thing about Rusty is that he probably puts down more miles than any other company, bike-related motorcycle company owner does. The dude rides every fucking where.
That's awesome.
You know, and he really gives back really tenfold to like motorcycles and veterans and all kinds of shit. So he's always looking for something to put his name behind. Like, he's a big supporter of Adam Sandoval and shit like that now. So, but cool. He brought up a lot of points with like seeing the culture going more towards performance. Even in the big wheel side of things, big wheel baggers is having more of a performance look to their bikes now. So
yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked about it.
It's fun.
You know, not saying that like the old culture scenes, like, you know, from the late 90s and the early 2000s, like Slow and Low and Slam this and Slam that, like that was cool. But I think the performance aspect will stay around a lot longer than anything else we've had for a long time.
The good thing about it is it's not one specific bike. It's over an array of bikes. So like big wheel baggers, it had to be a big wheel bagger. And then you kind of had the big wheel Softails that are still kind of popular right now. But dude, this performance shit, you can be on a Sportster, an Indian, maybe a Honda. I doubt it.
Well, they probably build some cool shocks for those things, I'm sure.
But I mean, it could be any bike. It's really just a style of bike customization and riding that make it what it is. But yeah, that brings me back to the whole concept of like, now with us riding baggers, we have these radios on it, we have all this shit, but we're all wearing helmets and our exhaust is loud. Yeah. And instead of dropping like at least $3,000 in speakers and amps and all this shit.
Yeah, let's be honest. If you really want to hear a touring bike's radio well at high speeds, you're spending good money.
Yeah, you gotta spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's you know, and then you start taking up space. Like, oh, I gotta put they got new amps now that are pretty small, so you can get them in the fairing, but.
Yeah, but still,
it's a lot of money for the same amount. You can get a Fast Life Garage painted helmet, a Lexin, and then bam, you got fucking music and everything you need. And then, like I was talking to you earlier, my boy Steve Chamberlain mentioned this to me, is that on the 19s and up, apparently with a headset you can kind of connect it to do Apple CarPlay on these radios, which I hope I can make it work. If I do, you'll definitely get a video of some sort from us.
That's awesome.
But I think that really opens up the doors a lot because, man, fuck, instead of spending $3,000 on that, you can get you a cool helmet.
Yeah, a really nice helmet.
Get you something like a Lexin to go on the helmet, and then you can spend the other fucking $2,000,
in performance parts.
Exactly.
There we go. Yeah, it just makes. It makes a ton of sense.
And you don't be a fucking douche pulling into a bike night with your goddamn Nelly playing.
Oh, God, yeah. Your Nelly or, like, you go to, like...
I don't even know what rap is nowadays, dude.
I don't know what rap is nowadays either. I don't know. I know every time I go to, like...
Aren't they just, like, a whole bunch of people doing Xanax and, like...
Yeah, and like
snitching on each other?
Isn't like mumble rap like a thing now? I heard someone say that. I thought that was a joke. Apparently that's like a genre of rap now. I don't know. Mumble rap? That's a thing now? Someone chime in and let us know. Yeah, we're so white. But then I go to like those really white places and I hear Chicken Fried played like everywhere. Wow. Dudes rolling in on Road Glides blasting that. Man.
I think riding in anywhere blasting anything, it just kind of like, even if it's a great song, it's like you just ruined that song for me, dude.
Yeah, it's a little too much. It's a little too much in my opinion.
But it's so crazy how like I said, give me a couple beers. My mentality.
Oh, yeah.
I become the biggest hypocrite in the world. Like, I'm pulling in, fucking listening to all the shit I grew up on.
That's cool. Next time I'm going to have to bring you a couple beers
Loonies.
so I can hear all this.
I got 5 on it and shit. Like, I just pull in with, what's one thing that they don't think that I listen to? I'm going to show them.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's a good time. Hey, is this your brother's bike right here?
Yeah.
This is your brother's bike right
He's
here.
waiting on a transmission. Some dude reached out and said that he had one and said he'd give it to him for just the shipping cost. So.
Hell yeah. That's the way to do it. See, that's when like the community is good.
Yeah.
Like when people do things like that. I see him up there with his RAM mount and that iPhone cord wrapped around it.
Yeah.
So I'll give you guys a little bit more information about what Lexin's doing in the future. So most people that have a cell phone mount and like go any sort of distance know that like eventually if you're running like Bluetooth and you're playing music and you're doing your GPS, like your phone will die real quick.
Yeah.
So you have to charge in some method, right? So he's got, like a USB port up there, and he's probably got the wire underneath the tank all the way and stuff. So at this point, we have a wireless charger system that we're going to be pushing out in the foreseeable future that's going to attach to standard RAM mount, and any phone that has a wireless charging system on it will work for. And we also have a magnetic tank bag that's going to have a wireless charger in there as well. So if you're a handlebar mounted style guy, that's where you keep your cell phone, like on a RAM mount, it'll just adhere right onto like the center round plate on your X grip, and it'll charge wirelessly for you, and you just run one wire, and every time you put your cell phone in that mount, you're good to go. You're charging.
Do you have to have the case off of it though? Or how does that work?
You can do it through a case. So like you can see my phone right now. Like I have just like a basic case. It's nothing crazy. And I use a wireless charger all the time. I just put it down on there and it charges.
That's crazy. That's fucking technology, man.
Yeah, which is awesome. And that's.
I feel like I'm living in the MCU.
I know, this is crazy. And then like the little tank bag is just as awesome, because some people don't like it on their handlebars. Like you were talking about before, that like eventually you want to figure out a way that you can just have your phone stuff like on your screen, on your bagger, and like throw it in the box because you don't like it on the handlebars and stuff like that. And I totally understand that. So like you could use like a tank bag, and it's just a small magnetic bag, with a clear cover on it. You put it in there, the phone will charge, and you're good to go. So if you're looking for those things in the future, they'll be coming out sometime at the end of this year.
That's cool.
Yeah, man. It'll be good. It's definitely going to be a game changer. I know people that end up on the road and they're just crushing miles and their phone dies. Like, what do you do? Well, if you don't have a charger on your bike.
Baggers, I mean, we could charge up a city.
Yeah, you guys can
definitely
can do
on Dynas, and even when I have my FXR, it's like you could buy those little things that could plug into your
like your pigtails for
the
like
charger
tender.
Yeah, so that thing. And then they also have ones that are just like that will plug in as well, and you can kind of have the USB plugged in and run your iPhone cable or whatever up.
Yep.
But what I notice is like I only get so much time before the iPhone cable itself starts to wear and it starts to cut out.
Absolutely.
And you're like twisting it back and forth trying to see where it's going to start charging.
Yeah, and you're like trying to push it against somewhere and find that like right lean angle.
So it's kind of cool having just a single wire going to the charging thing and just having it wirelessly mount, because you don't have to worry about that kind of going out.
Yeah, I mean it's huge. I've had my phone die on me. That sucks. There's nothing worse than being on the road and like we rely on our phones so much these days. Yeah. So it would just be. It's a perfect idea. Like wireless charging is a future. Most phones have it right now. You give it another 3 years, almost everyone that has a cell phone is going to have a wireless charger built into it. Like the Samsungs and the Androids have had it for a long time. iPhones are coming around to it now too. So it's going to be the future of it.
That's cool.
And there's people building them already, and truth be told, like they're not building very good ones.
You ever been to like CES or any of that type of stuff, like the electronic show?
Yep. Yeah. As far as Lexin, Lexin's been there. Myself, no, I haven't been.
Yeah, I want to go check that out. They always have some crazy shit.
Yeah, they always have really.
They got some new TV called The Wall. You seen that?
No, I haven't seen it.
It's like a 216-inch TV.
What? That's not a TV. It's just a wall. Like
exactly.
It's just a wall. It's huge.
But it's like it's also got a I don't know if it's all one TV or if it's a modular setup where you.
Is it still measured from like corner to corner, like 216? Because that's how TVs are usually measured.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm trying to picture like how big. So would it be like up to like?
I think it fits in a standard like 7-8 foot ceiling still.
Oh my God.
But I mean like, apparently what I was reading is like it's a TV that you can interconnect to other TVs and create up to like this big of a TV.
Oh my God.
Which is like what we normally see in like those like sports arenas, but it doesn't have the seams. It looks like one.
Okay, yeah. So like
TV.
the picture goes all the way to the edge, and then you can just keep adding.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do that with computer screens now too.
You can?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can have like multiple like monitors up, and then you can go into like your graphics and set it up so like the screen goes all the way across, so you can like.
Yeah, but it would have like wouldn't it have?
It
like
would still have the seam.
Yeah, the border edge or whatever. But this one looks like it's like you click it together and it's seamless.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so you just have a huge.
You can just
TV.
do 4 and have like a big ass fucking. I don't know if they're all like 70-inch TVs or some shit, but
Jesus, they gotta be huge,
dude. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I don't know, but all that kind of shit's kind of interesting. It's interesting seeing how the technology may, like, sometimes it takes a while for it to transfer over to the motorcycle world, but hell, the technology they've had in cars for the last 5 years, seeing some of that coming into bikes is fucking nice.
Yeah,
because we do use our phones and we do have it, and so all these bikes haven't, like, especially with the new FTR with their onboard screen and shit.
Oh God, that FTR, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So it's like how, like, no other bike Harley makes has that kind of technology on a bike. Even the Bagger's screen doesn't have that technology on it.
Yeah, that's true. And like, I'm a Harley guy. There's no doubt about it. Indian builds a great product though. They really do.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting seeing how things go. And I mean, hell, like when we were at the dealership, you asked about that live wire. It's like, I don't really have an opinion on it, man, to be honest with you. I'm just kind of like, I'm ignorant to it. I don't understand it very. I mean, I understand it, but I don't. It's not applicable to me. Like, I have no desire to want that.
Yeah, I'm probably not buying an electric bike anytime soon either.
Yeah.
I just like the idea that, you know, like we are still pushing ourselves. You know, like the motor company is still, you know, trying to get out of their comfort zone and build things. And, you know, Harley Davidson owners and riders are very like type A people that I've always found. You know, like they do not like change. You know, like the Dyna came out from the FXRs and people hated it. People were freaking out, right? And like what happened a couple years ago, like the Softail came out, like Dyna stopped, and everyone freaked out. And now everyone loves the Softail. Yeah. So like I'm not buying into it. Like people aren't receiving Livewire well. It might not work for the first year or two. I think it will eventually though. I
think the price point's where they kind of fucked up. But
yeah,
you ever notice that like Apple has the ability to put out whatever the fuck they want, and we're gonna buy it, and they can make an update. They can get rid of the button, which freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah,
I was so used to the button. Now I don't even know what life is like with the button.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
When was that? Yeah, when did that happen?
So I feel like sometimes maybe Harley thinks that they can pull that shit off, and sometimes they can, like with the Softail and stuff like that. But you know, I guess a part of me, you know, would want to see them invest some of their resources into making the current lines more technologically advanced, like better suspension, better brakes.
This is true, yeah. And there's a lot of companies out there that are doing it. You know, like I'm not gonna name the other people that are, but you know, like they're putting really high end stuff on their bikes right out of the showroom, and like that's gonna hurt the motor company eventually. You know,
like, it's like one thing that keeps Harley still good is that there is room for interpretation on these bikes, as opposed to like Indians are kind of over stylized, overproduced, so it's like there's really no room to put your own touches or your own comfort on it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so Harley still leaves it open, even though they don't seem to want you to change anything. It's still open, you know.
Yeah, it's true. It is it is almost like a clean canvas, you know, for you to do what you want on it. And yeah, like you said, Indian has everything built almost a certain way that you kind of just get stuck like that. But there'll always be people that change it up. There'll be aftermarket companies. The aftermarket world will catch up for that, and you will be able to put your own touch on and your own styles for it. But will it take longer for the aftermarket world for Indian to get there versus like Harley? Because I mean, the Softails came out, and 6 months later, you know, Saddlemen had seats for them, people had bars for them, everyone had everything built for them relatively quickly, in my opinion.
I think because of the buzz of the FTR, they're not going to have a problem with aftermarket trying to make these bikes better, right? Or make them more appealing, or whatever the case may be. Like, it's a great bike, but I don't want it because I don't see myself traveling on that bike. Just the riding position and the lack of, you know, wind protection. Like, it's just not a bike that I would want to buy.
That's true.
But I see it being very popular amongst people that live inner cities, things like that want to get a bike that they can have fun on.
Yeah.
You know,
someone that's not, you know, if they want it as something to just
I feel like that bike is to compete with the Livewire in a sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, luckily Livewire is an electric bike, so Harley will like back out of that fight immediately with it and say that it's not the same thing. But yeah, I mean, there is a little competition there with it. I'm happy to see someone doing, you know, like an all electric bike. I don't know how well it'll be, perceived in the beginning, but I'm happy. We need to keep moving into the future.
I didn't notice on that bike, but you know, like you look at the FTR and the screen and all the information you get from that screen. You know, bike vitals, all these types of things, like, and then you look at a Tesla all electric car and it's got this massive kind of like internet based screen.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Not that we need internet on our bike, but I didn't see a screen on the fucking Livewire, any kind of onboard kind of.
No, I think it's more kind of like the riser mount gauge that they have on some of the Softails. I think it's more like that. So don't quote me on that. I haven't seen it up close.
I haven't
and personal.
either, so that's what I was kind of wondering.
But yeah, I think it's just a smaller screen like that, and you know. If putting a screen on it meant like the price tag went from $30,000 or $35,000, you could probably just keep the screen off, in my opinion. But because it is pretty high priced in my opinion, but it'll get more reasonable, I think, as time goes on, and that's always happened with batteries and stuff like that. You know, like you think about everything that has happened like in the electronics world versus that. You know, we went from like batteries being so expensive and they just keep scaling down. They get cheaper and they get smaller and they get cheaper and they get smaller. So eventually I'm sure the Livewire will be a little bit more reasonable.
That's probably what's making it easier for like the intercom systems and stuff too, is becoming more, as that technology that they helped create it is getting more out there, it becomes cheaper to produce these things.
It's true.
High quality ones.
Yeah,
stuff.
Absolutely. There is still, you know, the factor to remember that that like there are like very like strict guidelines on like production like in the States and stuff like that for as far as like lithium ion. Like EPA is all over those things. It makes it really hard and really puts a stranglehold on us. So that is really hard, but I think as technology gets better, those things will get easier.
Yeah.
You know, and you can see it just from 5 years. You know, like you think about batteries from 5 years ago. You know, like I was talking with a buddy the other day. Like, do you remember when we used to buy like AA's that were rechargeable? Mm-hmm. Like, oh my god, those things were like worth their weight in gold. They were so damn expensive.
That's what's weird about this is it doesn't have a lithium ion battery. This little interface that we use for this podcast stuff, it has like 4 AA batteries or AAA, small ones. And I'm like,
that's it?
Yeah, I mean, we could plug it into the computer and use it as an interface, or I can unplug it and I can walk around like at a show or an event and talk to people, and it'll save it into this. But it would be a lot nicer if it had a fucking plugged-in battery that charged itself instead of having to. When I went to San Antonio, I was gonna have a couple friends from the airbrush world on, and we got all fucked up, and it was late at night, and then I forgot this cable right here to plug into the computer.
Oh no.
So then we jump on scooters and we're riding around downtown San Antonio trying to find batteries.
Yeah, trying to find AAA batteries.
It was a good time, but it sucked that I didn't get a chance to do a podcast with them. But same thing with like GoPros, man. Like, dude, how I can video for like 5 minutes on my GoPro and the battery's dead. Like I feel like they should be able to. They should be like the technology in which the GoPro camera, what it does. My iPhone can video 4K and hold a charge way longer than a GoPro can.
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
What I mean?
That's true, and that's a dedicated camera with a dedicated battery just for that. And you're probably listening to music and texting and on the gram and all that other stuff while you're recording on your phone. So, yeah, maybe they need to get with it. I don't know, maybe.
Same thing with in the Lexin. Like, it's a small unit just like a GoPro is, and you don't have to have 4 different batteries that's charging all the time to replug in all the time. So
yeah, and that's our take on it too. We don't want to have to worry about those type of things. We want to be able to charge it once, charge it the night before you go out or whatever, and take off on the road with it.
It makes you feel like kind of like what GoPro is doing is they're trying to sell more batteries. They're trying to make this thing not perfect. You know what I mean?
Well, no one ever will, because it doesn't make sense, right? Like, we're a capitalistic society, so you never want to produce a perfect product because then it's a one-time purchase, right? No one's ever going to do anything. And that's what they say, like, phone companies do. They say that, like Samsung and Apple have technology, like, 2 times newer or 2 times above what we have on the market right now for phones. Mm-hmm. They just won't release it, because why? It's not advantageous for their business because, everyone's here to make money, right? So,
well, in GoPro's, like, case, like, they have a phenomenal camera that's starting to do more and more things, right? So they're releasing the technology, but the battery is a limitation. It seems very dated technology for what we have now. Yeah. And the fact that you have to buy this big module unit to plug in a microphone to it, it makes no fucking sense. Like, this thing is if you laid it flat, it's the same size as a phone. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't see why they can't fit that technology in it. And it does come to the point, that capitalist thing you were saying is like, yes, they need to sell these batteries. They need to sell this extra thing that's $50. I was flipping out because I had to buy a new PlayStation, right? Yeah. My PlayStation went out. I'm a big game fan, and we watch all our movies and shit off PlayStation. So one I had was a first-gen PlayStation 4. Had it forever. Just finally took a shit, right? Yep. And I'm like sitting at Best Buy for 20 minutes staring at it, trying to talk myself into spending $300 on something I use every day.
Yeah.
I bought a GoPro for $400.
Didn't even think twice about it.
And then bought another $150 worth of attachments and mounts that it doesn't come with, and didn't even think twice of it. And I barely use the GoPro compared to the PlayStation. Yeah, exactly. It's weird how stupid I am sometimes.
No, that's the average consumer though. I do the same thing. Like.
Maybe because we use it so much that we don't have the same value to it as, like, it's kind of like if you see your chick every day, you don't really value that as much as if you only see her once in a while. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's definitely truth in that. And I think we've just, like, bred that into ourselves, like, we're almost used to, like, having those luxuries, so it's harder to justify spending it on that until, like, it's something brand new. Like you said, like that GoPro, like, that was your first time buying all those things, and you were excited about it and stuff, and you were ready to spend that money on it. But, like, the PlayStation, you were like, damn,
I really have spent $300 on this right now, but you use it every day, so it should have been an easier justification, right?
Yeah.
Should have been easier to say like, yeah, I need to spend $300 because I'm going to use this tonight, tomorrow night, the next night. I'm going to use it all the time.
Yeah.
So it's funny how that works and how that translates into like the marketing aspect of things, and how big businesses know that,
Yeah.
and use that to their advantages.
Say it's kind of the same scenario. So like, we just moved into this house, right?
Yeah.
And so in my apartment, you know, my TV size was like a 47, but it was perfect distance between the couch and the TV.
Yeah.
Now that TV in the living room, I can't fucking see it. I can't play
It's
games.
like a Matchbox, right?
So, you know, like, even though this is probably not a great TV, but, you know, they got 65s for like $450, brand new smart TVs,
Oh, yeah.
4K, all that shit.
Oh yeah.
Same thing. Fuck, man, I want to spend $450 on a TV.
But you know you're going to use it every day.
Yeah.
You know you're going to turn it on every day. You're going to watch
Exactly.
movies on it with the family. You're going to play video games on it. So you should be able to justify on it. And then we go out and buy, you know, $1,200 shocks and shit like that. You know?
Yeah,
So-
it's so weird, man.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. It is.
So-
But I think it's easier to like justify spending some of that money sometimes if you have more faith in the company you're buying it from.
True,
You know,
true.
like, and that's huge for us.
That work. I mean, look, I have a MacBook Pro, fucking iPad Pro.
Yep. But you know that Apple stands behind their stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know that like there's good customer support there. Now, if you ever try to go to the Genius Bar, it might take you a week to get there.
Yeah.
But, you know, like they do good things for you. I've had Apples mostly my whole life too, as far as
Yeah.
like phones go. And I've always been satisfied with them. You know, and like I've always been satisfied with the service I get from them as well. And that's something that like we translate into our business. And we want to be that company that you have 100% faith in, that anytime you contact us, like you're going to leave happy. And that's always our model with it.
Yeah.
You know, so anyone that's ever contacted us, and, you know, like, truth be told, like, people break things, right? So, you know, we've had people that drop their helmet on their unit or whatever, and they just contacted us because they wanted to buy new parts, and we just send them the new parts because we want them to be happy. You know, we understand that accidents happen, and we're more concerned about our customer service and our customer satisfaction than making a dollar. You know, we want to make sure that all of our customers are happy. We want, anytime that someone brings up, hey, I'm thinking about getting a Bluetooth, or like, hey, I heard about this new company, Lexin, you know, like, what do you think about it? We want everyone to have a positive thought in their head first. You know, and so that's where our business model lies with, is 100% customer satisfaction, customer service, no hassle, you know, dealing with us and our products.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have. I mean, fuck, dude, us mom and pop shops, man, we don't give a shit about customer service. No,
I wouldn't
cool.
say that, but
it's cool because, like I said, it's frustrating when you have products that you can't get any support on,
Yeah.
any knowledge on.
Yeah.
There's not a simplistic way to solve the problems. You know what I mean? Like the booklet you get with is pretty informative, and then you even have like a quick book you can keep with you,
Yeah.
just for like commands and stuff.
and that's what I tell everyone. Yeah, that little quick book, it's like
Cliff
half,
notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like Cliff Notes, and it's like half like a normal sized piece of paper, and it's a trifold, and I just stick it in my little bag on my bike. I still carry mine with me. And I that's what I tell everyone to do, because it has all of the controls, everything in there. Whether you want to turn on like the FM radio, or you need to link to.
That was
know,
weird. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it had an FM radio.
No one ever thinks about it, and then they hit the button by accident, and they hear like, you know, like Telemundo or something weird coming through, and they're like, "What the hell's going on?" And then they realize that there's an
What
FM
is this
radio. in there.
noise?
Yeah, like, oh my god, because who uses an FM radio anymore?
Yeah,
I
dude.
don't. Like,
It's
my
weird.
car has one. I don't listen to it. I stream music like everyone else does. So yeah, so that's a nice little feature. You have that, and you can always refer back to that. I tell everyone to keep it with them. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just a little quick, easy reference for it.
So you guys planning on doing some stuff this year? You said you're going to make it Sturgis and stuff?
Yeah, so we're going to be at Sturgis. We'll be at Black Hills Harley Davidson. Myself and the director will be out there. We'll have giveaways. We'll have promo items. Definitely come out and see us. Come out and hang out with us. We'll be there for almost the whole thing. Not for the first 2 days. We won't be there yet, and then we'll be there for like the last 7 or 8 days. And then we're also going to AIM Expo, like we talked about earlier. We're gonna have a huge booth. It's gonna be right across from Parts Unlimited. It's gonna be like right on the main drag. The booth is actually shaped like the state of Nevada almost, because it's like the way you walk into AIM, it kind of forks at like 45-degree angles. We'll be off to the right, and a huge like 20 by 30 booth. And we're gonna have displays. We'll have giveaways, a whole bunch of stuff. I'll be there as well. And for anyone listening to this overseas, like in Europe, we're going to be at EICMA too, in Milan, Italy, in November. So we'll be all over the place. We also have a lot of smaller events that go on. Those are the big ones that people will be at. But myself, like, I'll be at East Coastin up in Connecticut, and those dudes put on a hell of a show. If you're in that area and you've never been there, you should go.
What is the event? Like, what does that event take? What all is going on?
It's just wild. I don't even know how to explain it. How do
just
you
a bunch of stunt riding?
How does anyone explain it? So East Coastin' is pretty much just a big get-together. It's like a one-day party, and they have a cookout there, and all the bikes rolling there.
What about the Barnstorm thing? Is that?
It's not the same thing.
Okay.
That goes on up there. Not sure if we're gonna be there or any type of presence there, but East Coastin' is like a stunt group there. They all ride Harleys, and they're insane. They're absolutely insane.
They raise the bar for stunt riding, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're amazing. Like it's.
What's crazy? There's like this evolution of it, right?
Yeah.
So you see the Unknown come out, and they kind of had this. It's the same thing if you translate music to stunt riding, right?
Okay.
Like Cali has this like flow and stylistic thing to their riding, and then the East Coast has always been like this lyrical, like technical kind of shit that's going on. You know what I mean? And it's like. It's kind of the same thing with music as it is with the riding. So, like, when Unknown came out, it was real smooth. They had this cool vibe. Like, they're all riding on sick-ass bikes.
Yeah, exactly.
They got the background.
Style, too.
Yeah, the backgrounds of, like, the beaches and the fucking, all the different cultures that are out there. And then you got these East Coast guys that just come out, like, fucking don't give a shit,
they're
dude.
Just wrecking shit out there.
Just going wild and doing it all on streets. And, just...
And they're up in Connecticut with no helmet laws.
Yeah.
So, like, these dudes are just out there wilding out with a snapback on.
So I felt like that when they came out, and I feel like I'm getting to where I feel like the evolution is going, but they came out a couple years ago and just kind of like owned the stunt scene.
Yeah.
But now I feel like just my limited knowledge of stunt riding, I feel like those, like the CBR and the dudes on the baggers right now that are just going fucking crazy all over the place, like they're kind of like taking over the shine of what stunt riding is right now in a sense.
Yeah. Seeing like performance baggers get out there and do 12 o'clock wheelies and shit like that, and like those guys are insane. I can't even imagine it. I mess around on my dyno.
You know what's weird though?
It's
quick. It's so quick how it's progressed.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm from. I did the sport bike thing for a long time, and I remember, I was actually a sponsor of Patrick Stevens, which was a real famous stunt rider. From like the beginning stages, like when the what was it, 12 O'Clock Boys, and the Star Riders and all these different Wink 1100. When these guys were doing wheelies, they were just doing wheelies and shit.
Yeah,
and then,
just wheelies.
Yeah,
and we all thought it was super impressive.
It was the sickest thing. And then when they started doing circle wheelies, I was in the motorcycle scene when doing circles on a motorcycle became a thing.
Yeah,
and then it became from there. It was just all the even more technical shit, right?
Yeah.
But before it was just stoppies. You could do high chairs. You do all this crazy shit on a wheelie on a sport bike, but they're just going straight. Then the circle thing kind of changed the game and turned it into a parking lot thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's probably when the parking lot scene got really big. And like those guys are still pushing the limits. Like I'll always give it to the Harley people. Me personally, I find it super impressive to see those big, heavy bikes doing things like that.
Yeah.
But not take anything away from the sport bike scene. Like we have a sponsored rider, Kyle Slager, and he's a monster on those things. He bunny hops his bike.
Okay, so he's one of those dudes that'll come in and do a fucking endo, and then catch the brake and make the bike flip over to a wheelie
and turn it around, and then he'll be doing high chairs and like circle. He's incredible. He's a super humble dude. I met him in Chicago.
It makes me wonder though. I wonder if the reason why the Harley thing has got so much traction right now, or the sport bike shit does too. I'm just not connected to the sport bike.
Neither of us
things.
are. Yeah, I'm more connected to V-twin.
But I wonder if like it's such a popular thing and stays popular because it seems relatable. Because I have that bike.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do a wheelie like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then you burn out a clutch like me. I got a blown clutch back in my garage. I think it's really relatable, and I think that a lot of the younger dudes, like from our generation, that were stunting on like the old CBRs and like the old Jigsters, I think a lot of them have moved over to like Harleys.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of dudes that are like that.
Yeah, because like another dude on a fucking F4i. Like,
yeah,
come
exactly.
on, dude,
all right, that's enough. Yeah, but
I mean, it's kind of getting that way on a dyno. Like, okay, dude, we got a dyno. I get it.
Yeah, this is true. But I think the bagger thing is still fresh. You see someone on like an ultra classic with like a tour pack on the back of it, and he's scraping a tour pack. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, dude, deep. Like the fucking Nicoletti. How the fuck you say his name? The unknown dude. Nicoletti or some shit.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So he's one with the gold FXR that I mean, I even told Schultz when I met him in person, like, dude, I fucking love that bike.
Yeah.
Had to paint my bike gold. Sorry, dude. I did it my way, but I'm totally telling you that bike is what made me want to build my FXR that way.
Yeah.
But seeing that bike fucking going down the highway, just just 12 o'clocking and whatever the fuck these dudes do on it. Like, that shit's sick.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
monsters. Yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, so we'll be at East Coastin, hanging out. I'll be there personally, and we'll be doing some giveaways. We'll have some units pass out. Come find me so you can get hooked up with one. We'll be there, and I believe we're gonna try to do something at Indian Larry's block party too. So that's in Brooklyn, New York, and that's in September.
I heard that this year they're doing it like it's one weekend and then the next weekend is the invitational.
Yeah, so I think last year they had them on the same weekend or almost the same day or something.
Yeah,
weren't you and Rob talking about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, shit, I
That
would love to
pisses
go.
me off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go hit both the events, but
And both the events are just like a one-day event.
Yeah.
And they're both awesome events. Like, I've hit Brooklyn Invitational before, and I hit Indian Larry Block Party. I wouldn't say like one is better than the other by any means. They're just different.
they probably
you know?
complement each other real well, do the same weekend. Though.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the Indian Larry, they bring a whole bunch of different things. Like they had a stunt rider there last year that did like this huge jump. I think he was on.
Oh, the CJ Barn? No, that's
No, I think it was Cole
Freeman.
Cole
yeah.
Freeman, yeah. And like he was super badass, and he was out there jumping stuff, and it was wild. And they had music out there, and they had all sorts of cool stuff there. And it wasn't like a strict like Dynabro scene, you know.
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
a strict bagger scene.
Yeah, he came here and did the Southern Throwdown we do in Deep Ellum.
Very
and
cool.
he did a jump on his road glider. I
Yeah.
don't know if it was his road glide he jumped, but he did the same jump again.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
The build up for those things is so great. Like, not to take away from it, but it's
Yeah.
like after he does, like, I fucking sat here this whole time for this shit.
I was here for 2 hours, and it was a 30-second show. That's it.
Yeah, there was this. I remember the last time I went to Rot Rally. There's this dude, fucking Danger Doug, I think his name was.
Okay.
And he was kind of like a spinoff of like an Evil Knievel. He
Okay.
had the whole get up. He had the cane and took a shot out of the cane and stuff.
Good for him.
They had helicopters. They had all this shit going on, and it's like it
Really?
took so long for him to do the jump that I think because of the anticipation, we thought this motherfucker was going to the moon, right? And then he
right.
does it, and it's kind of cool to see. Well, the one that this dude did, it was like such a big ass gap.
Yeah.
That I was like, fuck, man, like
Yeah,
that's got to
that's
be pretty big. And he did it on like a sporty or an XR 1200, like an old school one or some shit
Yeah.
like that, like what Evil Knievel used to do it
Yeah.
on. And then, I saw the Cole Freeman one down in Deep Ellum. And
he was on a bagger, you said?
I don't know if he, what, I say this, I didn't stay because I left because I got tired of fucking waiting. But I
still
did
love you,
see,
Cole. It's
I
all
did
right.
see all the videos though of the
Yeah.
one he did. I did another one somewhere where he almost fucking lost it too at the
Oh,
bottom.
Jesus.
But,
I think his girlfriend was there with him, or some. I don't want to brand him like that, but there was a chick there with him at Indian Larry Block Party, and if she listens to this at any point, she almost hit me. She was like mid wheelie, and I was hanging out trying to get it for the gram, and I got a boomerang of her like almost running straight into me on
Nice.
it. It was awesome. I felt bad because I was the one getting in the way, but it was pretty
Fucking
funny.
spectators.
Yeah, exactly. Goddamn spectators on the side of the road, just trying to do it for the
Trying
gram.
to wheelie here, man. Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, there's definitely something cool about all the stunt riders coming into the scene, or just being a part of it.
Yeah.
Like bringing that flavor. It does, in my opinion, bring. It brings in new riders. It's,
Yeah.
oh man, it looks cool. This whole culture of motorcycling looks cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's I think it's kind of a false advertisement though, because a lot of people can't do that shit.
Yeah, this is true. A lot of people can't, myself included. I'm no stunt rider by any means, but you know what? I think it's breathing like new life into it. You
True,
know?
it definitely is.
Because
definitely
15 years ago, like you think about like what a Harley rider would be, and like you're thinking of like an old dude with a beard, with like his work boots on, torn jeans, and like a letter vest.
The depressing
it.
part of that statement is I'm the old dude now.
No, you're not. You're
Dude,
not.
I am. And I was I've said this a lot, but hearing guys like Cole, like not Cole, but the other dude CJ,
Yeah.
and their little podcast, listening to them talk, seeing their Instagram, and just seeing the way they live their motorcycle life, it's like that ain't me, right?
Yeah, and there's
That ain't
nothing
me.
wrong with that.
No, it's nothing
Yeah.
wrong, but that would be me if I was 25, 100%.
this is
So I
true.
felt like I've been pretty fucking wild myself
Yeah.
in my 30s, but I'm like, fuck, man, I ain't even fucking touching these guys. These dudes are
Look
fucking
at these
wild.
guys. Yeah, they're just
So
burning it down.
that's when
over
I was
there.
kind of realizing, fuck, I'm old. I'm
I'll give everyone like a little personal story on my old life too. So like I turned 30 and I decided to buy a longboard. So I bought this like Sector 9 longboard off someone, like super dirt cheap. And I decided I was gonna like ride it around. So like I was skateboarding my whole life anyway.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't a big deal, right? But the neighborhood I live in now, I might as well live on like the side of Mount St. Helen. It's like a 40-degree down.
damn.
And so I take it out, And I decided that it's a good idea to let my dog pull me on it. I've never had my dog pull me on a board before. And so we start going, and we're going downhill as well. And he starts pulling me. And then all of a sudden, he starts getting real angry. He's a big Rottweiler, so he's a monster. And he starts biting at the board. And so I can't turn. I have to go straight down into this cul-de-sac. It's way too tight. And so I end up just eating, and you can see a little bit like remnants here. And like my hands are still tore up. My knees all tore up from it. And so I fall because my dog won't let me turn. I had nowhere else to go, and I couldn't rip that corner tight enough. And then that damn dog picks up my board. It's like a 4-foot long Sector 9 board. Picks up and just starts walking home with it. Just leaves me there, laying there, bloody on the ground. And that's when I realized, like, damn, I'm old. Yeah. And I was like limping for like a week after that. I was like, oh, I can't do this shit anymore. I gotta take it easy. I still went out the next day and rode the board. I just didn't ride down that hill anymore.
Dude, I used to skate a lot too. And my wife, she works for this barbershop here in Dallas, and it's pretty trendy. You know what I mean? And all the dudes had a big Cinco de Mayo party, right? Yeah. And one of the dudes has a sick ass fucking mini wrap in his backyard. Nice. And so I showed up with one of my buddies. We had went over there. We were eating some of the fajitas and shit. And I was like, I saw that mini wrap and I'm like, I want to do this.
Yeah, I'm gonna get after it.
I haven't done it in so long. Yeah. I can do it. And I didn't do it. There's too many people there. Yeah. I was just way too scared. But dude, I want to skate so fucking bad. But my big ass now, when I was skating, I was 21, 22. Yeah. I was 160 pounds. Like I'm 240 pounds now. Like I fall, I break shit. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of weight coming with it. So it's like, it was just kind of like, fuck, man. Like I want to be that guy again, but I also like beer.
Yeah, this is true. I like beer too. I like drinking a lot too. So, and I don't like having broken bones. So, like I ride my longboard around. And my kid will ride his bike, and I'll skate next to him and stuff. And he'll skate with me every once in a while. But I don't think I'm taking that hill for quite some time.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, I don't need a broken leg by any means. Can't ride a bike with a broken leg. So, but so it's a good time. It really is. Well, where are we at here? Oh my god, I just got some reception. I got like 900 messages.
There you go.
This place is like an iron coffin in here, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's I just barely got internet. I've been here for 2 years, and I just got internet like a week and a half ago. And I wanted to start doing some live videos of like when I do some helmets and shit, but again, it's just kind of like the idea is there, but the preparation isn't always there. And like I need to get it set up to where I can put a GoPro in an area that you can actually see, because I've tried to take some videos while I was airbrushing, and the GoPro has such a wide angle lens on it. It has to be so close that it's almost in my way, for you to see what the fuck I'm doing. Or like say for instance, if you connect it, because the new GoPro has the live capabilities.
Okay.
It's almost like you'd want to still be able to interact with the people, so I need someone else here to like let me know what someone's saying so I can respond to that or this kind of shit, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Do you find like when I guess airbrushing, you probably don't have as much you don't have any overspray with?
Not really.
Yeah, right. So like that's not an issue with like videoing or anything like that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think as like someone that's not really ingrained in like the paint world, like I don't know anything about paint. I don't know anything about airbrush. I would love to see those type of things.
Yeah, like, there's a kind of like that satisfaction feeling of seeing something happen. Yeah. It's like I posted a video on my Instagram a long time ago, and it was like stripping a piece, like putting aircraft stripper and then watching the paint bubble and then just pulling it off. Like 50,000 fucking views. I'm like,
it's cool, man. People don't know about the paint world. I honestly believe people are like scared of doing their own paint work or anything like that.
Well, it is a tough thing to step into. It's not a I don't know how to say it. Like I don't want to like discredit any other kind of business or any other kind of creative outlet, but carpentry is easier to get into than paint work, because carpentry, all you need is technically a saw and a hammer and nails, and you can build shit. Well, an airbrush, you need a paint, you need to understand paint, you need to do research on paint, understand what this does and what that does. Yeah. And so there's a lot more of a preparation point that comes into it than some other areas. You know what I mean? So kind of like the same thing with video. It's like it's easy to take pictures or take video, but to create a video is much more
content, to create, like you have a purpose behind taking this picture. Yeah. Like and like when we just did that on our website, so the FT4 has a feature on it that it has a trim light around it, and it's really the only unit on the market that has anything like that. And that trim light, you can have 3 different colors and you can have them flashing as well. Mm-hmm. And so recently, a couple weeks ago, we posted a picture on our Instagram page that had those trim lights on. Mm-hmm. like two helmets side by side, and people loved it. And then we were getting all these inquiries about it, like, oh, do I need to buy one for a certain color? Like, I want the blue light, I want the red light, and people didn't even realize that. So now we had a mission. We had to build a piece of content that would, showcase those lights, and like, we have people that, we have professional people that do that stuff for us, but trying to do it ourselves and build good content for that, like that's where it gets tough. Like, I can snap a couple of pictures of the bike here and there and products here and there, but now I have like an agenda that I need to do in that, and that's hard. And that's where like the difference between like people that are just kicking around on social media calling themselves influencers and brand ambassadors aren't really doing like what needs to be done, and that's like building content specifically for that that area.
Yeah, and also I think it's kind of it's a challenge, if anything, to find a way to create the content and feel more genuine with it. You know what I mean? Like for me, like with Lexin, like I don't really want to do a video and say, I wear Lexin, it's great. I hear things in it, and you know what I mean? Like this monochromatic kind of voice tone or mono, whatever the fuck it is. Monotone, yeah. I'm a painter, so chromatic works. But it's like, it's almost like, not for me, and this could be completely backwards, but it's almost like not saying it, just showing it being used all the time is enough of an advertisement than putting my voice behind it and being like, okay, I don't believe him.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need.
It doesn't always have to be a video or audio content.
I think the proof is in the pudding. Like, I think seeing it out, being used, seeing people that you value and trust their opinion on things, you see them using it, then I think that's a testament enough. In my opinion, we don't, like as a company, we don't need 1 million people to go out and make videos for us. We just want good people using the product. Yeah. And I honestly believe that will speak enough for itself. Like, if your buddy gets one and you trust your buddy and trust his opinion, I think that's more valuable than some random person that you follow on Instagram, because we all follow random people. Yeah. Him telling you it's great. And you're like, okay, well, that's cool. I appreciate his info, but do I really believe him? Do I really trust him? And we go back to that ambassador and influencer page or portion of this talk where, like, those people need to really be genuine, and be honest when they're doing that type of work. So me and Rob from up there from New York, we were talking about, because you did the El Diablo run. It sucked because we spent a whole night together, and then we went to breakfast, so we talked so much before we did a podcast. Yeah, I remember that in the beginning of the conversation. That it was kind of like, I wish we would have kind of dove more into like the actual El Diablo run, but he was telling me about some people that we know. I'm not trying to name names or anything, but it's just like, they have this online presence of being this great ambassador for all these products, but then in person, they're the biggest dicks and cunts you've ever met in your life. Yeah. And it kind of like, it kind of goes against the point of it, right? So if if you're an influencer, or you're just somebody that's creating content that engages in people, and whatever, you do it for money, money is a part of it, or you're doing it for product, or you're just doing it, it's just showing the life you have. It's like, there are certain people out there that kind of have this online presence of who they are, and then when you see them or you meet them in person, you're like, oh, I liked you until I got to know you. Exactly. And that's wrong. And that's where, like, those people are doing a disservice. Like, you should be the same person that you are on social media in real life. And that's just a personal value of mine, that, if you're going to say, like, hey, this product's good, and you're going to be willing to talk to people through messages and all this stuff on social media, if you go out to a rally or you go to a ride or like a meetup and people come up to you and they want to talk to you about that, you should be willing to talk to them about that. Like, it doesn't stop because, you're not on Instagram anymore. Think about it. Think about like all the brands and products that person may push or use that they're quote unquote influencing for, right? Yeah. And then you meet them in person. It's almost like all the brands associated with that person are now like null and void in your mind. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. If like, that person's online pushing all those things and you believe them, and then you happen to run into them on a show, or at a show or a ride or something, and they're a dick to you, like, that's going to carry over to what they said about those products. Whether you consciously do that or not, it's going to. Yeah. Like, let's just be honest. If you know someone that's brand ambassador for a helmet company, it's almost like you need like a how's my driving or a phone number on them to call. Like, hey, dude, we need a way to be able to hold these guys accountable. Your ambassador fucking sucks, dude. He's a dick, or she's a cunt, or whatever the fuck it is. Well, hey, that's a really valid point. And I think, like, people listening to this, hey, if you run into someone that's an ambassador at all.
Yeah, but see, I don't want to do that because I don't want to put more negativity out there in a sense where
you shouldn't have. Yeah, I'll stop myself on that too. It definitely shouldn't be a negative aspect, but remember to always take these things with a grain of salt when you talk to people.
Like say if it's a specific influencer, right? There's still all the people that person's nice to that has their back, and then it becomes an internet war about like this, that, and the other.
Yeah,
it's just a mindful thing that like if you're gonna be someone that's going to, do whatever, then I just tell people like me, like I'm not necessarily an influencer or anything, but I get drunk and I party, and I'm not the same dude when I get drunk and party.
Yeah.
And I joke a lot, you know what I mean? So it's like, fucking calm down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, usually, like, I think most people can get it, but at the same time, I found myself being a lot more quiet sometimes on group rides, like, almost where I don't want to talk because I don't want people to, like, okay, yeah, that dude's a dick. I'd rather just be quiet and answer questions and stuff, but there is that aspect that you just want to, I guess the thing is, like, through doing this podcast, when I would get people reaching out to me talking about, oh man, I decided to take this trip, I decided to ride and do all these things, I'm like, that's cool. And sometimes it's just messages and messages and messages that the worst thing in the world, I hate this, but I don't really have any other way to do anything about it, is like someone will pour their fucking life out on the messages saying how this podcast has helped them and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how to engage.
Yeah, how do you get on that level when someone tells you that something you're doing is changing their life?
They just took the time to write this fucking passionate thing to me, and I'm humbled by it 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm also 3 beers deep at bike night.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, how do I respond to this right now?
Yeah. Or, I'm working or whatever the case may be. So it becomes this like point where it's like, fuck, man, like I realize now that I have a responsibility to these people that are finding some kind of path or direction through our guests on the podcast or the podcast in general. So it's like, it becomes hard. It's another job to find out how to be, open to these people, to talk, to engage with them in a more, you know what I mean?
Constructive way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then just telling them, hey, thanks. Yeah. You want to say something more than that.
But I also want to say something to where it might, like, okay, this first interaction with them is a delicate one because maybe they've put the podcast or myself on a pedestal to where I could fuck that up real quick with a joke or, and I don't necessarily want to go down the bro love path with you. Like, oh, bro, it's all good, man. Like, we're bikers, man. Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's not who I am.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, cool, man. Keep doing cool shit. Someone that'll, like, I usually tell them, like, hey, man, just keep me informed. Let me know where you go. Like, I really am interested. I just don't have time to engage in long back and forth conversations with people on social media.
This is true. We talked about this earlier. Like, how do you stay engaged with an audience that large? Like, it's hard. But, even just those, I can tell you from my standpoint, because I've contacted, like bigger companies, just personally. Even just getting that small message back on the, like, hey, that's cool. Let me know how it goes, or, like, thanks for your support or anything like that. Like, that's always well appreciated.
Yeah.
Like, I know I always appreciated hearing it from a big company, and it's important. It's important for people to do, and that's that humbleness that comes into it.
Yeah.
So keep rocking out with it. That's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully, like the thing that really has been a great thing, and I haven't found a way to get it bigger, but our camp out thing has been really awesome, man, because every time, every camp out we do, I become friends with somebody else that doesn't live close to me, right?
That's awesome.
And that's what's cool, and I try to encourage everybody else to do the same thing, and I think they do, but finding a way to bring that event more local to people in different parts of the country is something I really like to do, but it's also something I don't make any money at.
Yeah, so that's hard. Yeah. Right? To give your time, and resources to that.
It might be why it's a fucking great time right now, because there is no money involved, but Giddy Up does the same thing, and those dudes make $50,000 plus dollars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they do.
So it's like, there's, I don't know, it's one of those things, another rabbit hole about conversation when it comes to people out there trying to put out content, whether it is YouTubes or podcasts or creating events, and then there always being that kind of that stumble between people willing to pay for it or not.
Yeah. There is
whether, like as if it makes it less valuable because it costs you money, kind of thing.
Well, have you ever thought about, where did you do the camp out the first year? Because this was the second one, right?
Yeah, it was the second one we did at the Adam Sandoval thing. The only reason we did was because Adam, as a biker, understands what we're trying to do. Yep. So finding another campground that will allow us to kind of do what we want to do the way we want to do it sometimes can be complicated because I can't guarantee them that there's going to be 100 to 1,000 people at a camp out. So because I can't guarantee that, I can't walk into your camp out and go, hey, fuck all those RVs. We're taking over your campground this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so it's kind of like, you know, I know Steve Chamberlain up there in Michigan's doing one in July. Yeah. And he found a great campground. He understands the concept. He's creating a badass event. So
you've done Sandoval's place twice?
Yeah, we've camped there 3 times, but we've only done 2 events there.
All right, very cool. Have you thought about moving it around the country?
I want to. I want to do one. Me and my buddy Craig, I was telling you about earlier. Yeah. He lives out there in Tampa, and I've been talking with him about doing something in Florida. Yeah, and it would be cool to do something in Florida for the aspect of like it's a different terrain, it's a different environment, and I think it'd be equally as cool. But it would be it'd be more complicated because the only time it would be really fun to do it is in your cooler months. You know, not quite winter, but like, you know, your early spring or late fall kind of thing. Like
September, October, you'd probably be able to get away with it. March.
And so for some people though, because one thing is for sure, our camp out does bring people from across country. Yeah. So it's like I would hate to cut off a part of the country because of the weather. They can't get out. Yeah. You know, and I do encourage people to ride there if possible because it creates the story or the event that they're going to be able to sit around a campfire and tell their travels to the other people that are interested, man. Yeah. So it's a tough one, man.
Yeah, it's hard, but I'm sure you'll figure it out. You've done really good with it thus far. So yeah. I'm sure in the future
it'll be fun. It's also cool, like finding more people that want to be involved with things. Yeah. You know, like I guess it goes back to that control aspect I was talking about earlier. Is that I would love to have more people that want to be involved in taking some kind of leadership in some of the things I would like to be a part of. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, well, this guy wants to help throw the camp out. It's cool. Well, I'll totally come help. Yeah. You know, if you got some ideas, I'm totally. I ask people all the time, you know, but I don't really get a lot of people that are initiating, like wanting to be a part of helping our things. Most people want to do their own thing.
Yeah, of
course. You know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
it makes sense. Well, I think it's awesome.
I appreciate it.
I'm totally down with it. Totally down with it. I wish I could have made it this year, but unfortunately, work at other plans. So.
Yeah, it's always good. At least you have a job.
Hey, this is important, right? Need a job. Need to be able to pay the bills. So.
Well, shit, man. How's I think that's about it. But I think there was one other thing that got some notes and shit. Oh, so like what's some of the like places like y'all mainly sell these products? Is it mainly online or is it something that
So we do most of our sales primarily online. You can find us at LexinMotorcycle.com or on Amazon, all those fancy places. We are in big box stores as well across the country and growing.
So like Cycle Gear carry your stuff?
So not Cycle Gear, not yet. We are, working that avenue as far as some of the other ones, but a couple big ones that are in the area are like Semperfi Cycles in Illinois is there, and I think in Tremont, and then Ready to Ride North Carolina, and like 605 Motorsports in California, a bunch of big ones as well, and we're going up with that. We also are like in the workings of a partnership with Trail Tech, and Trail Tech's a division of Polaris. So, and that would include a Lexin product, like partnered with them.
That's cool.
So, and there'll be more to come with that in the future, but that'll be a big one. That'll really reach the masses.
Yeah.
So it'll be pretty cool.
Is the Amazon thing linked directly to y'all's store, or is it through like
third parties? It's not third party. Yeah, okay. It's just us. It's just us.
Yeah, so like that offer code we got though, so they just need to go straight to the fucking website though.
Yeah, so use it on the website. That's where we want it for you guys, and the code is FastLife, and that'll be good for 15% off the entire site. So anything you order on there. And make sure you keep checking us out on social media. We do giveaways all the time. We do other promotions as well. But make sure if you're going to be buying anything to be using that FastLife code, 15% off at checkout.
Cool. Well, shit, man. You ready to get some lunch?
Yeah, I'm ready to eat, man. Get out of this fucking sweat box we got.
Yeah, I had to turn all the fans off to do this shit.
Nah, we're good. It's all right. We can sweat a little. We won't die.
All right, man. Well, good talking to you.
All right, sounds good.
Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you caught that. If you go to LexinMotorcycle.com, you can check out all their products and also use FastLife at checkout to save 15% off of any of their models or options that you would like to do for yourself. Also want to thank John Jessup at Dream Rides. Check him out, teamdreamrides.com, and use FastLife at checkout for 10% off. Mark from TexasPerformanceMC.com. Also Kevin from Big Bear Choppers on Instagram and BigBearPerformance.com. And don't forget, call him at 909-478-7788 for any inquiries. Is that how you say it? About your motorcycle customization. Also want to thank Paint Huffer Metal Flake out on Instagram at painthuffer.com. And don't forget, you can use FastLife at checkout for 15% off. Getting weird saying that. And also don't forget about LindallBrakes.com as well as Lindahl Brakes on Instagram, and use FastLife at checkout for 10% off on brake pads, rotors, and your custom wheels. Thank you guys for checking out this podcast, and don't forget to support us. Check us out on Instagram as well as on Facebook and all that other good jazz at The Fast Life Podcast. And please, if you don't mind, just $1, $5, $10, whatever floats your boat, whatever you care to donate, go to our Patreon, which is on our website, fastlifegarage.com, front page. Become a Patreon and help us support this podcast and keep it going further. Thank you guys, and you have a good week, and we'll be back soon.